Think we are on now. Hope everyone is having an amazing Saturday. We have a really good one today. We're going to be discussing Jeffrey Epstein and the Epstein list. So please bear with me here. So I do have a special guest. She will be joining in just a little bit, and I'm going to be interviewing her, being that she has followed this case. Guys, please tap this live and make sure you comment down below if you have any questions about this particular topic here, and also share with anyone, any of your friends or family, so that the algorithm brings more people to this amazing live we're about to have here. Being said, I do want to welcome our special guest, Julie the Recap. Hello there. How are you?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Can you hear me well?
Yeah.
Awesome. Perfect. So, thank you so much, by the way, for doing this. Julie, her channel is all about news and crime, correct?
Yeah, celebrity gossip, news, true crime, stuff like that.
So, how long have you been following this case?
Oh, the Epstein. I don't even know. I've listened to podcasts on it for years. But for the documents, I've just been following it just since it started coming out just the last couple months.
Got it. Okay. So, by the way, I was intending to use the studio version of TikTok, but they ran an update and they damaged the whole setup. So, I'm back to the phone version, unfortunately. Yeah. So, I won't be able to pull up the sources, but I'll give you the big box if you do want to share any sources whatsoever. That's fine. That being said, guys, we're going to talk about the Epstein list and all the topics around it. So, let's get started. Julie, do you mind, for those that maybe don't know, who is Jeffrey Epstein?
Good question. I think that's the number one question whenever I talk about this case at all. And basically, the way I always sum up who he is he's a millionaire who everybody wanted to be around. That's like the bottom line. He basically was almost like the Hugh Hefner of the financial world. Like he was loaded. He loved parties. He had parties all the time at his house. He had his private island. He was invited to everything. Everyone wanted to be around him, from famous people, scientists, politicians, you name it. They were kind of hanging out with him. And then everything kind of went south for him when I think it was 2005, he was living in Palm Beach and he was accused of inappropriately touching minors. And it was one in particular. And that's when kind of things started to change a bit from him. And some of these famous people cut ties, and then a bunch didn't, unfortunately. And it's starting to come out now who did cut ties and who didn't cut ties. But he was only charged at that point. Do you want me to get into all this too? Or do you want
Yeah, I mean, if you can. So, just to clarify, was he a millionaire or a billionaire?
Good question. I don't want to say billionaire. I'm not 100% sure if he hit that mark or not, but he for sure was a millionaire.
Okay, so for sure a millionaire. I do know he was a teacher originally, correct?
Ooh, I don't know about that part. I know he did a lot with finances. I don't know if he was, unfortunately.
I think I watched, I don't know if it was Netflix or something, that he was like a teacher in New York, I believe, originally. And then from there, he got into the finance because it was, I think, Dalton School, like a high prestige school. And then he got connections to go into the finance sector.
Yeah.
So, okay, so then when you said that he was charged back in the mid 2000s, was it for just touching or graping? We can say graping.
Yeah, graping's a good one. We just use our rhyming word.
Yeah.
So for that one, it was in 2005, he was accused of paying an underage girl for sex. So I don't think it was considered grape, but yet she's underage. So maybe it is considered that, but it was definitely intercourse with an underage girl that he was being charged for paying her.
So it was like a prostitution charge at that point.
No, it wasn't prostitution. She was just a young girl. So what he used to do is he used to recruit young girls to come to his home, that he wanted massages, and then he would end up leading them into other things like, inappropriate acts, intercourse, stuff like that while they were there. And he would get other people to recruit these girls for him, and he would pay them as well. So he would always pay for this stuff, but they weren't prostitutes. They were just, young people showing up at his house, and he would pay them for their, services.
Okay, so starting from there, how would he get those girls to come into his house? How did that work?
I
Because
don't know
they were
how
not prostitutes, like you said. So,
but I know that unfortunately his girlfriend did a lot of it and recruited a lot for him. And I don't know for the first one, I don't know if his girlfriend started that or how exactly that came about. But as soon as he had the first one, he would get them to bring more. So as an example, let's call her Jill. When Jill showed up, he paid, say it was usually $200. It sounds like he was paying people. So he'd give her $200, maybe make it like an easygoing, just a legit massage. Hey, tell your friends if they come over, they can have $200 too. And then people just started literally showing up at his house being like, hey, I'll massage you for $200. Or people would show up and say like, I can recruit people. And that's how it started. And people would come just once. Sometimes these young girls realize what he was doing, leave, freak out, never come back. But then there was other like vulnerable girls who would come in who maybe needed the money, or maybe were already being abused at home. So this was normal to them, or, maybe had their own issues going on. So they didn't know any better, or didn't know how to get out of it, or needed the money for whatever reasons. And they would keep coming back, unfortunately. So there was a lot to it, and there was grooming involved. So it wasn't like they showed up and he was like, hey, we're going to have sex. Like, that's not how he rolled. He really did lead them up to that. And it was a total grooming situation, unfortunately, for these girls.
so username Mo is echoing what you said. The user said here the girls helped recruit as well as
Yeah.
his assistants. So it
Yeah.
was like a domino effect.
Oh, big time. And
Yeah.
one of his main accusers, so Virginia, and I'm going to say her name wrong, is I think it's Jeffrey, if I'm correct, but Virginia Jeffrey was one of his main vocal accusers. She was 17 when all this started. Basically, she got recruited because he went to Trump's Mar-a-Lago spa and she worked there. He recruited her, or his girlfriend did, one or the other. Ghislaine, I guess. I always say her name wrong too. But she ended up going with them and to work for him. And he wowed her with all this money.
When you say he recruited her, you mean Epstein recruited her, right?
Yeah. So she
Okay.
left Mar-a-Lago, went with him to be his private masseuse, and basically he ended up trafficking her. She was 17 years old, and she ended up getting involved in horrid stuff. She is the one that all these documents are coming out now. They are all from her lawsuit against his girlfriend, Ghislaine. And she is the one that has accused like Prince Andrew, all of these people. And her boyfriend testified that he was actually recruiting girls for Jeffrey Epstein. So he was getting money to recruit girls to come back to Jeffrey Epstein's while his girlfriend,
Whose boyfriend?
the victims, Virginia Jeffreys.
Also, the boyfriend was also involved. Like the
Yeah.
boyfriend she's with right now.
No, this was like the
Oh,
boyfriend she was with when she was 17.
oh, at the time.
Yeah, at the
Okay,
time.
okay.
Yeah. So he was recruiting people for Jeffrey and getting paid while she was being trafficked to all these famous people like Prince Andrew, apparently.
So, okay, so then it's like a domino effect at that point. But in 2005-ish or 8-ish, whatever, when he got charged that time,
Yeah.
shouldn't you go to prison for like 30 or 50 years?
You would think, apparently not if you have a buttload of money, apparently. So he was accused in 2005, and in 2008 is when they charged him. But in 2005, when the charges came out from this young woman, all of these other girls started coming forward saying similar things. So what ended up happening was he agreed with the courts that he would plead guilty to one girl, one charge, and that was it. So that's what they did. They let him plead guilty to one count. So he got 13 months, and basically they ended up with this like work jail release program. So he hardly spent any time in jail at all. And that's when certain people say that they cut ties with him, was after that. And then other people either didn't know about it, didn't care about it, or just didn't cut ties in general and stayed with him.
So wait, so how long did he go to jail for then?
13 months. And he wasn't
13
in jail the whole time.
months?
He was like on a work release program.
13 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
This was 2008.
Yeah. So 2005 is when she came forward. 2008 is when it went to court finally.
Okay, so he gets that amazing plea deal
Yeah.
for him.
Exactly. Good way to put it.
Yeah, it's an amazing plea deal for him.
Yeah.
And then what happens after that? Does he maintain those relationships, like those high profile relationships? Because he was charged, correct? Like on paper, he was a sex offender.
Well, yeah, he'd be like classified now on the website and whatever else, I'm assuming. But yeah, he did keep a lot of it. Like I'm sure he denied it to everybody or had some sort of backstory. And he would have only been in the papers for the one count as well, right? So I'm sure he had a lot of excuses that he was dropping to all these bigwigs, but a lot of people do say that they dropped him around that time. Like there's several people that say once they heard of this, they never spoke to him again. Trump's one that says that he cut ties apparently before that because they had a falling out, but a lot of the big names say that once this came out, they cut ties.
But the thing is, some didn't, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's what we're finding out right now.
Yep. And
Okay.
I think as time went by too, they kind of lost sight of that one charge and people just started, because like I said, he was like the Hugh Hefner of the financial world. So he was running all these dinner parties and, trips and traveling to his island, and people wanted to be invited. Like he was invited to, like, as an example, Naomi Campbell's birthday party was like, years after this happened, and he was invited to that birthday party and they went to it. So like they were social elites for quite a while.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So then, okay. So then he gets that lesser or that good plea deal for him, and then he maintains his businesses, his status. But by the way, do you ever find out what happened with that girl, that first girl?
Like where she is, you mean?
Yeah, like whatever happened to her, did she get like any money at least or anything? Or
Good question. I've never looked into her to find out if she did sue him or not.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we moved on to now between 2010 to 2020.
Yeah.
And then what happens? Why does this come out again for him if he already defeated the charge, if you will?
Yeah. So 2019 is kind of when it started up again. So the Miami Herald is, I think, the people to thank for it. They started kind of looking into the scandal again of what is or who is Jeffrey Epstein. And they started publishing about the situation. And
So the good old journalists.
exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, they're the ones that brought it up. And then New York prosecutors, someone saw it, read it, and was like, what is this? Dug into it. And that's when he was finally charged with sex trafficking. So the initial charge that he had was like, I don't know what they considered, if it's child abuse or, rape of a minor, whatever it is. I just said, sorry, grape. I'm not sure exactly what the term was in 2008. But this charge that they brought upon him was actually sex trafficking, which, as you know, is huge. And
So I just pulled it up just for reference. This is per Wikipedia here. It says on July 27, 2006, Epstein was arrested by Palm Beach Police Department on state felony charges of procuring a minor for prostitution and solicitation of a prostitute.
Okay, that's what. Oh, they called her that?
Yeah, so that was the charge. Yeah.
So 2005 is when the accusation started. That's when the girl came forward. 2006 was when he was arrested. 2008 is when he was finally charged.
Amazing. Okay, so then, by the way, you mentioned what's her name again? The first girl, Joffrey. Virginia. I think I saw a report. Maybe you did online. This journalist. I'm not sure from what network, but it was a major network. And she was saying, oh, I had heard I don't know, so many years ago. And the executives or the network didn't want me to move forward with that story. Did you ever see that?
I don't think I have, but I bet you there's quite a few people that tried that. He
Yeah,
had
like
so many friends in big places that nobody wanted to touch that story.
interesting. That's crazy. Okay, so then the journalist, you're saying the Miami Herald.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
then they started picking this story up again. Do you know why, by the way?
I don't know. Somebody dug into it. I don't know if something came up and, grabbed their attention or if they were just digging into it because he was so famous. There was a lot of talk about his island and stuff, especially with politics, like with Clinton and Trump. And so maybe it had something to do with that. But apparently, when it came out, the New York prosecutors caught wind of it and investigated, and that's when they went after him.
Got it. And this was a New York one, right?
Yeah, the New York prosecutors went after him.
Okay.
Yeah, they
And
went after
then
him.
and then what happened after that?
So that's when they arrested him for sex trafficking, and that's when everything started to come out, and he apparently ended his life in jail.
Do you believe that, by the way?
I don't. I shouldn't say that. I do and I don't. If the cameras were working in there, I'd be like, "Yep, he did it," because I think he knew he was going away like for the rest of
So
his life.
tell me about the cameras. Have you looked into that by any chance? What's going on with
A little
that?
bit. So basically, the security cameras weren't working at the time, so they don't have footage of his area of what went on. So that's the only part that makes me like, hmm. But I mean, in jails, I'm sure there's stuff that doesn't work all the time. So I don't want to get too deep in a conspiracy theory.
But
But
wasn't
there,
this like a major prison? Like, didn't they have like El Chapo there or something? Like top profile people there?
yeah, it was a big prison. I don't know who was in there, but yeah, it was a pretty big spot that he was in. Um, and there were so many bigwig names that have so many of, or he had so many of their secrets. So I can totally see why people don't believe he did that. So it's a tough call. It's a tough call. If the cameras were working, no one would have a doubt. I don't. Well, some people always would, but I wouldn't have a doubt if the cameras were working. But where the cameras weren't working, it always puts that little like, did he do it, or did someone else pay the guard to do it?
So I see your point because right, you can say, well, it is possible that the cameras weren't working. I mean, let's maybe give them that. But what about the security guards? Didn't they
Well,
report that they were not there during that time? For some reason, they went on a break or something. What's the story with that?
I don't know about that part. I haven't dug too much into where the security guards were at the time, and what time they found him. I'd have to dig more into that one.
Got it. Okay. And so you said you believe and you don't believe. Can you please specify? What do you mean?
So if the cameras were working, I wouldn't have, even if the cameras were working and they just didn't catch it, I think I still would think like, yeah, he did it to himself. But where the cameras aren't working, it puts a little bit of doubt in my head that maybe somebody paid a guard or something to do it. That's the only kind of thing that gets me a little doubtful is where the cameras weren't working. I find that hard to believe.
Got it. And have you looked into the autopsy, by the way?
No,
No.
no.
Because I know there was some reports about, I think the brother stating that his independent autopsy came out with different results than what the official one got, as far as whether he did it himself or not. So there's like, two different points of views there. So that's
Yeah.
very, yeah, that's
One of your
another one.
followers says the guards fell asleep allegedly. That'd be a good one. That'd be a great
Yeah.
excuse. We were
I think
asleep.
I, I think I read somewhere that we'll have to pull it up. I'll try to pull it up later. That the locks were missing or something. They're supposed to be there, but for some reason they weren't. So it's like it's just very odd. Very,
Yeah,
very odd.
yeah.
Um,
I
okay, so
do
then
believe, though,
go ahead.
that he would have thought the first time he was charged, I'm sure he was like, I can get out of this. When he got charged the second time, he knew he was done for. There were too many people that knew about what he was doing. There were too many victims involved. Like, sex trafficking is such a bigger charge than what he had in 2005. So I can see him knowing he was in big trouble.
Yeah,
And
which would also make sense, right? Because he knew this was the end for him anyway.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And he just said, Elvis is still alive, maybe.
yeah,
As well as Tupac and yeah.
right. And Ghislaine Maxwell, what role does she play in this?
She had a huge role in this, like a huge role. So she was his girlfriend. If you look into even just old pictures of them and stuff, she there's a lot of inappropriate stuff going on with them as well. Like you can get pictures of the two of them with his friends on the plane, and she's, doing stuff sexual and stuff. Like it's gross. Like their relationship was raunchy, if I can say that. I think there was a lot going on there, but she played a key part in his fetishes. Like she recruited girls for him. She would be like the safe face that they would meet when they first got there. So she's female. Again, it's all part of that grooming, right? She would, greet them, try and get them relaxed, tell them what to wear, what to do, guide them, coach them. Like she had a huge part in this. Even with his trafficking of the girls to other men, she would have a lot to do with that. Like just as an example, Virginia Giuffre says that, what is the man's name? He's the CEO, or used to be the CEO of Victoria's Secrets. Lex Wexner, who's like a gajillionaire as well. She would pick out lingerie for Virginia Giuffre to wear with him. And that would be her setting that up. Like she did a lot, unfortunately. And she ended up being sued by Virginia Giuffre too. That's where all these documents came from, is the lawsuit between Virginia and Ghislaine, however we say her name. And now she's in prison for 20 years. So she's gone.
Yeah, and I just want to pull that up. I just Googled it here real quick. This is per the Independent. Jeffrey Epstein's victim, Virginia Giuffre, claimed that she was trafficked to former Victoria's Secret CEO Les Wexner.
Yes.
In newly unsealed documents.
Gross.
What happened with that case?
Pardon?
What happened with that case with Les Wexner? Did he get charged or no?
No. No, he has done no wrongdoing. Apparently, there's been no investigating into that. I don't know if there will be or not. I shouldn't say there's been no investigating into that. There could have been. He denies all of it. He says it didn't happen. But in the last batch of documents that just came out, it's the court session where Virginia talks about him, and she says that Jeffrey paid her about 15 grand for at least five different experiences where she was trafficked to Lex Wexner.
Okay, so before we jump into the list, I want to go back a little bit here because there's some things that I don't see too much coverage of. I don't know, maybe if you can answer some of these questions. So I'm seeing her everywhere, Virginia Giuffre. She's like in a lot of these claims, right?
Yeah.
When she was with them, was she sort of like completely kidnapped, or would she go home to her parents every night? How does this work? What's the story on that?
She was groomed. So she wasn't kidnapped at all. She did this willingly. She was working, like I said, at Mar-a-Lago with Trump. He basically flashed his money and was like, I can pay you so much more to be my personal masseuse. She was like, okay, let's go. It was the two of them, of course, him and his girlfriend doing this. And they just recruited her and then slowly groomed her.
So she was originally working at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
And Epstein met her there. Yeah. And then he got her out of there.
Yeah. He was like, come work for me. You're great. I'll pay you way more. And
was she making like a good amount of money during this process, or?
Oh, she was with Jeffrey. Yeah, with Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah,
she was. So, where are her parents? Have they spoken? Did they see any like extra money coming out of nowhere, or what's the story with that?
I haven't dug into a lot about her parents. I did see stuff online that her father was kind of involved in this too, but I don't know if that's 100% true or not. I'd have to dig into that more before I state it. But her boyfriend, like I said, was involved, and she was only 17. She was just a kid. And she talks about how she was slowly groomed into this. Like it didn't just start with, here's what you're going to do. Like it slowly got worked into this. And then she felt almost trapped. Like,
so wait, so she was 17, you said? I thought she was much younger than that.
No, she was 17.
She was 17.
Yeah.
But what is what's the law? The consensual or something?
Yeah. Well, it's whatever state you're in, it's whatever age makes you an adult. Like if it's 16 in some states, 18 in some states. I'm not
right.
Really sure.
Wasn't she an adult then at that point in Florida?
I don't know what the rules in Palm Springs are for that. I don't know.
Let's see.
Yeah,
Let me look it up.
18.
I thought she was much younger. Florida. Oh, consensual age. There you go. Oh, it is 18. So off by 1 year then.
Yeah.
Okay. So every state is different. Okay, so that does make sense then.
She's not she wasn't charging for underage issues. Hers was sex trafficking.
Got it. Okay, so what's it? Okay, that
She
makes
was
more sense.
underage, but hers was sex trafficking.
Got it. Okay, that makes more sense now. Yeah. So that's I don't know. I get that, but my point is what's going on with the parents? You know what I mean? Because if you tell me that she was there every night, I'm like, oh, okay, she was kidnapped, but she was going back home, and they didn't see that she was like, I don't know, traveling and stuff like this. And I'm sure she had to say, hey, mom, I met Bill Clinton. I don't know, or whatever.
We'd have to look into her past. I don't know if she lived on her own, if she lived with her family, if she lived with her boyfriend. Like, she was making a ton of money. So I'd have to look into like her background with her family and stuff first. I'm not really
sure. Okay, so then she also accused Prince Andrew, correct?
Yeah.
What is that all about?
That was kind of one of her main ones because she sued him as well. He denied everything. He still denies everything, but he settled in court. When did he settle? He settled in 2022. So in my opinion, if you're settling, that says everything. He also stepped down from his roles, in the royal world because of all this. Like, it was, yeah. She says that there was, multiple times that she unfortunately had been with him, and she was paid to have intercourse with him. Like, she was sex trafficked to Prince Andrew.
Guys, I have Julie the recap here, the special guest for today. We're talking about the Epstein case and the list we'll be getting into in a little bit. Please tap the live. We should have like 20,000 likes. We have like 9,000 right now. Please tap the live. So he settled the case, and didn't he say in one interview that she was claiming that about sweating, that Virginia was claiming that he sweated a lot, and he said, no, I have a condition where I cannot sweat. What kind of answer is that?
I know. I don't know what all that was. She basically was saying how gross he was, like that she remembers being so revolted because he was so sweaty and gross. And and then he tried to defend that apparently.
By the way, I think I watched some of that interview, and that was cringy to watch.
Yeah.
That was pretty bad. I'm surprised he agreed to do that interview.
Yeah. I don't understand what all that was. And if you haven't yet watched the Netflix documentary on Epstein, The Filthy Rich, it has a lot of insight too, because it interviews a lot of the victims and stuff.
Yeah, I did watch it. It was a while ago. That's why I don't remember exactly.
When it came out. Yeah.
Yeah. There was a lot of victims, right? A lot. So then, okay. He settles, and didn't he get stripped, by the way, Prince Andrew, of some of his royalty sort of
duties? Yeah,
duties.
He acted like he was doing it, to be kind, like, oh, because of all of this publicity, it's damaging my duties as, the royal whatever. So he stepped down.
So he stepped down. He stepped
down. I'm guessing he was removed, but he claims he stepped down. Yeah.
They probably told him you got to get off, but just at least do it yourself. So it looks like you're doing it yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
It looks less embarrassing.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So then let's go into the list now. Has the list been completely published? The list that everybody's waiting for.
It's not a list. So I try, when I'm talking about it, not to refer to it as a list. Everything got kind of twisted in the social media, and everybody started referring to it as a list. So I think that's why a lot of people are disappointed, I guess, with what came out, because it's not a list. It's court documents that were coming out, and it listed people in it, but it wasn't like a set list. You had to literally read through like thousands of pages to pick out names that were listed in there.
And then you can sort of make up your own list from there, if you will.
Exactly.
Yeah. And this is why I asked Julie the recap to come on, because there's a lot of misinformation about this case online, on X, on TikTok, YouTube, everywhere. And people are like posting the list. Like, we had someone already that said Trump was on it, which I believe his name was mentioned, but we had to put context to every name.
Exactly.
And what you see on social media is, oh, this person was on the list and that's it. No,
Yeah.
because like you said, it's a court document. So I'm sure there's an explanation for
Right.
each of those names. So let's just get this out of the way. Was Trump on that list/document? Please.
He was. But again, like
But
you said, you need context. So Trump was in there. His name was in there probably 4 different times that I saw, but it was all in random roundabout ways. Like one of the things that stood out to me was Epstein said something about, if the weather's not good, we'll just land in Atlantic City and we'll go to Trump's casino. So because he said Trump, it's in the document.
boom, it's on the list.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's about context. So
Yeah.
was there anything on the list that specifically said Trump was doing any trafficking or anything like this?
Nothing. It did say that, like Virginia was asked if she met him and she said yes, but it was not in any, sexual context or anything like that. Like she had just said she had met him. They said, did you massage him? And I believe she said no. Like there was nothing, there was no accusations. There was no wrongdoing. He was just mentioned.
So Trump was just mentioned, guys. There you go. Just to clear that up once and for all, because we keep seeing this on social media and it's a lot of misinformation out there. Okay, what about, Prince Andrew, clearly she sued him. So that's out of the way.
Andrew was on the list, but in a negative way. Like he's being accused. There were
Right.
certain people I keep saying list. There were certain people in the documents
The
that
documents,
were there
yeah.
for wrongdoings, but yet not charged because it hasn't been proven. But there was other people that were just mentioned, like Michael Jackson. Everybody.
Yeah, let's get into that.
Michael Jackson's on the list.
What's up with that?
His name is there, but it's completely innocent. Like he was at a dinner party. One dinner party, he gets one of the witnesses was asked, "Did you meet anyone famous while being with the Epsteins or whatever?" And she said, "Yeah, I met Michael Jackson one time." And because of that,
Boom, he's on the document.
Yeah, and so everybody flies with that. So some of the examples like Naomi Campbell, Leonardo DiCaprio, like names like that, everybody's like, oh my God, their name's in there. Naomi Campbell was only in there because they were invited to her birthday party. So Virginia Giuffre is talking about a sexual experience with Epstein's girlfriend and saying it happened before they went to Naomi Campbell's birthday. That's the only reason Naomi Campbell's name's in there. But nobody's saying that when they make these posts on social media. They're just listing the names that are in this document and everybody assumes they're like inappropriate with kids and stuff. Like
Right.
It's kind of a shame, really.
Yeah, it's they just post pictures, right, of all of these people, and then
It's
they were
shock factor.
the shock factor, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you don't do that, yeah.
Documents. It's like,
Right.
no, that's not why.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're clearing all of this up. It's very crucial to get the proper information. So I'm just going to ask, just throw a couple of names and if you can tell me the context and if they were mentioned or not. What about Chris Tucker?
I haven't gone through all of the names that were dropped. I went through all of the big names that either had like accusations or, actually did something. The only names that I kind of covered were like the big players, I guess, in it. And then because I tried to skim, I couldn't go through. It was over like thousands of pages. So I didn't see Tucker's name in there, but it doesn't mean that he wasn't. I'd have to Google his name and find him.
Got it.
I didn't look him up specifically.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. What
I know,
about...
some of the names that I know for sure, that when I was looking through the documents, like I read up on Trump, like I said, I looked up Bill Clinton, especially because the comment saying that he liked them young. I was like, what is that? So she talked about meeting.
That was going to be my next question, Bill Clinton.
Yeah. And she does say that she had dinner with him on the island where he denies ever being. She says she had dinner with Clinton on the island, but that there was nothing sexual or anything like that. So whether or not that's true, I don't know. He completely denies that. She says that he was at the island. But the only time his name was in there was because Epstein commented to someone that Clinton liked them young. So, I mean, gross and not good, but yet not wrongdoing.
So that's about it. Just that Epstein mentioned Bill Clinton. So his name was there, but just because Epstein mentioned him.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
The other one was Bill Richardson. He was in there too. So he's the former governor of New Mexico who passed away in September. So his name was in there because apparently he was at Epstein's ranch in New Mexico. So like his name was dropped too because a lot of people were talking about him. But it was just because he was apparently at the ranch. It doesn't say he did anything, but he was hanging out with Epstein at the ranch apparently.
Got it. Okay.
Allegedly.
Any other big name that was there that's within that smoke of wrongdoing and we don't know?
The one I think that I question the most is David Copperfield. Did you hear the story about him?
I heard his name was there, but I don't know the story.
So one of the witnesses
By the
said,
way, he's the famous magician, correct?
yes, yes, he's magic. Yeah. So his name was in there, and that's the only one that I'm like, eh. The rest of them make sense to me. I'm like name drops or, the people that we knew were involved in this anyway. But with David Copperfield, he apparently was at one of Epstein's dinner parties, and he's talking to one of the witnesses, and he says to them, as they're having this conversation about it, he says, "Did you know that Epstein's paying other girls to recruit girls here?" So my head immediately is like, why the heck do you know this, and why didn't you do anything about it?
Wait, who said that?
David Copperfield.
He said it himself.
Yeah, he said it to apparently, and again, this is just from one of the witnesses. So, I mean, it's not coming from him. He's probably going to deny it, I'm assuming, but I just don't understand why he knew that, why he did nothing about it, and why he's talking about it at the dinner party with these witnesses. But I just think that doesn't come off in a good light.
Right. And again, it was her say, right, at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just hearsay because it came from someone else.
Right. Complete hearsay. So we don't know if he actually said it, but it was mentioned in the document.
I think the most dramatic, the most dramatic hearsay one would be Alan Dershowitz. Do you know Alan Dershowitz?
Yes. He's the famous or infamous attorney.
Yes.
So what about him?
So he's in that document numerous times. He has been, all about the PR about this. He did a big post on, I think it was his YouTube channel, one of his social media channels, basically saying like, don't read into things, like, and then he went on a bunch of news programs saying that, he's been cleared from this. But there were allegedly witnesses, which included employees from Epstein's and a couple of other people as well, that said that he was at the home when the young girls were there, that he was getting massages, apparently one of the witnesses was saying, and that he was at the home with the young girls there without his family. And he blatantly denies that. He says that is absolutely not true, that the only person he's had intercourse with is his wife, that this has never happened. He knew none of what was going on with Epstein. Like he denies this to the ends of the earth. It's just, it sounds really bad, especially when employees of Epstein's home are saying he was there. But yeah, he's coming out everywhere and saying none of that happened, that he didn't do it. And his excuse, or one reason that he says it didn't happen, is there's this big story, emails and things that came out with Virginia Giuffre's book. And it's something with her publisher where they're going back and forth talking about Dershowitz. And the publisher says something like, well, you've got to put Dershowitz in there. It'll be like a big seller. And then she comes back a couple years later and says, I might have been mistaken. It might not have been Dershowitz that I was with or something. So he claims that clears him completely, but who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah.
So I just want to get into again the traveling thing with him, but username Tim Cat said the girls were not prisoners or victims. They were paid well and recruited their friends. So the question, Julie, and again, this is just to get your opinion on it.
Yeah.
I'm guessing Virginia was with them for years, way when she was above 18. So shouldn't some of them also be charged for bringing their friends as well, being that they were adults already? How does that work in your opinion?
I don't know if anyone was looked into charges for recruiting or not, but nobody was made to do this. I mean, they have their own reasons for feeling made to do this, but nobody was, held down or tied or restrained or anything like that. Some of the girls that were recruiting, he didn't ever touch. So a lot of them didn't even know that the sexual aspect was happening. It was just massaging. So there was a whole different, ball game for all these girls. It was different for every one of them. And they all had different reasons. Like when you're abused, when you come from a vulnerable family, when you come from trauma, there's tons of reasons that you have that you don't tell anybody, or that you follow through, or that you feel victimized. Like we can't judge, why certain girls did what they did. Other people, yes, they were just doing it for the money. Maybe they did know what was going on. We don't really know. Everybody's kind of got a different story, and this one is this happened.
Yeah, of course, there's different scenarios for everything, and you will have to look into each specific case and to dig all those stories, because it's not fair to just say everybody's the same. Obviously, okay. So going back to Allen real quick, he said that he wasn't there, and Clinton also said he wasn't there at the island.
Yes.
Is there any sort of flight log here to verify this? By the way, where is the island? By the way,
what? Sorry.
where is the island? The Epstein's
I don't
island.
even know. I just call it Epstein's Island. I'm not sure whereabouts it was.
Let me see if I can Google it here.
Yeah, Google it and check it. But yeah,
There it
there's
is.
those names on flight logs and things like that. And, people still have this conspiracy that there was like almost like a list of men that or whatever that did this. That's not the case. There were flight logs that came out. People knew all the names on it, saw the names. A lot of the flight logs just listed like Epstein, 3 females. Like it's not, it's not this government document that they had to have their ID presented and stuff like that, unfortunately.
So it says here, per Wikipedia, Little St. James is a small private island in the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Oh, the Virgin Islands.
Virgin Islands. So that's where it is. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. So again, so no specific flight log then, right?
No, I mean there were flight logs, but it's all kind of mumbo jumbo. Like it's not
an official airport, like
exactly
right.
Yeah, it's a private jet, right? So it's
Yeah.
not what people wanted it to be, I guess.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So are those flight logs, by the way, are they trustworthy? The ones that I've seen some names there too. What's up with that?
I personally, I don't trust them because I haven't seen them come out like these documents, like an actual court document. I haven't seen. All I see is, even handwritten ones that are going around and stuff. So I don't tend to quote any of them just because we don't know where they came from. We don't know if somebody made them up. I don't tend to trust them.
Got it. So not trustworthy unless they show up on the court documents. Then we can be like, okay, well, it's in the court documents, and that's different. Okay, so then that covers the fly logs. We gotta wait, I guess. I did hear that there's another batch of documents coming on later this month. Is that true?
On January 22nd, there may be some more stuff coming. There was a couple people. So when these documents, I'll back up. So the documents that got released were redacted. So if you put in like a right to information, if a journalist wants this stuff and they put in a request for documents, it's called a right to information. And you can get anything you want normally unless it's protected, but it will be redacted. So like names will be blacked out, addresses, phone numbers, emails, stuff like that will be blacked out. Anything with underage situations typically is blacked out. So what happened with these documents is the judge finally ruled that because most of this is already known and public anyway, that she would unredact everything. So that's what happened. So these documents have already been out, but all the names have been redacted. But a lot of the journalists were able to piece together who the people were anyway. So as an example with Trump, they already knew he was in these documents because they're able to like read context around it and be like, okay, they're totally talking about Trump here. But now that it's redacted, the marker was taken off and they can actually prove that, yes, okay, it was Trump they were talking about with his casino or whatever it was. So now that all these documents have been unredacted, we're getting to see like all of the context and names. But again, most of them were already known anyway.
Would this other batch be unredacted as well?
Yeah. So on the 22nd, so what happened was the judge gave everybody a chance to kind of plead their case why their name should stay redacted. And the judge would say like, yeah, I agree, we'll keep it redacted, or no, you can't. So the reasons they would stay redacted would be if they were underage, if they were, let's say, of age, but they were, violated as well, and for work reasons, maybe they will remain redacted. So more victim situations. And two of the cases, I don't know what the second one is, but the first one is a victim. She's been asked to remain a redacted name because of her workplace. She said if her name got out, that she would lose her employment and it would jeopardize, her livelihood. And she doesn't want people to know she was a victim. So it's being considered right now. So January 22nd is the date that the judge has to make decisions on that. So we may get a little bit more on the 22nd.
And is this the same documents that we already got, just with less,
Yeah.
with full access, if you will?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So is it true that Clinton tried to keep his name blocked?
I don't know. And I don't know how anyone would know that. I know there's rumors going around about stuff, but I think it'd be impossible for you to be able to keep yourself redacted in that anyway. So I don't know why someone would try, but he totally could have.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, who would know that? You're right. Unless you're in his team, how would you verify that?
Yeah. Unless it got leaked somehow through the courts, I don't think they'd ever reveal who was trying to keep their name redacted. So I tend to think a lot of it's just hearsay and rumors, but.
Got it. So these will be the same documents, just we'll get more information of what's in it.
Maybe, yeah. If they are set to be unredacted, then we'll know who it was. But if the judge, agrees that it can stay redacted, then we won't know what it was.
Got it. So again, guys, there's no list. Okay, there's no list. It's just court documents, and you can sort of pull out the names from there, but each name has a context to it.
And you gotta read thousands of pages to go. And a lot of the names that were redacted, when they come out and they're like, there's this list of 250 names. Yes, there's 250 names probably in this, but most of them are names you wouldn't care about. They're witness names, they're victim names, they're detective names. Some of the officers that were involved were redacted. There was a bunch of names in that don't have anything to do with, who was there and who wasn't. So there was only a few, names in there that people were like, holy smokes. So I think that's why, unfortunately, a lot of the names that are being taken out of context, like Naomi Campbell, I think that's why they were used as shock value. Naomi Campbell was in the documents and people lost their mind. But I think that's why that happened, is because most of the names we already knew about, or it was just in there innocently. So they had to make something more of it.
Do you think that, I know you mentioned why they were redacted, but some people in the comments have said, oh, you think they would tell us the whole story? Do you think that the redaction is because of some conspiracy, or no, it's just like you said?
Oh. Why it was redacted in the first place, you mean?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's always like that. Every time you ask, anytime that I'm doing a case and I request any information, it's always redacted. The name of the person you've requested will be shown. If I requested Jeffrey Epstein's document, Jeffrey Epstein's name won't be redacted, but everybody else in there will be redacted if it doesn't pertain to the situation. If they're minors, if it's, a witness, if it's their phone number, their email, it'll all be redacted.
Got it. Okay. Quick question about those that travel to the island. Again, there's no specific confirmation of who went there, correct?
Yeah, nothing that you can put money on anyway.
Because I heard somebody mention Whoopi Goldberg even traveled there. I'm sure you heard about that.
And totally could have. There were so many people that went there for so many different reasons. He had fundraisers there all the time. So all these bigwigs would go for the fundraisers. I doubt there was, inappropriate stuff. I mean, who knows? But going on during a fundraiser. But yeah, he flew people on his
Right. It could have been an event, and maybe the next day he had something else going on. But maybe during that event, it was very formal and,
yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
And he had, I can't think of the person's name right now, but there was a politician that admitted to being on his jet a couple times. And he said what it was for. It was for a fundraiser, and he had to go somewhere for this event, and he went twice. They did these events or whatever, and he's got proof that it was to this event and stuff, but it looks so bad, him having been on the private jet, right?
Yeah, that looks pretty bad. Yeah. I mean, if you were around there in any shape or form after all of this, I mean, it looks terrible.
Becky just had a good point. She just said people also took their own boats, aircraft, and submarines. Submarines. Can you imagine arriving at Epstein Island on your sub, like
Right. Yeah.
rolling up in the sub? Yeah, but it's so true. I mean, they got there anyway. You know,
What
they
about Oprah? Was her name thrown in there at all?
Oprah's name. Everybody's saying Oprah's name.
I know. Like, what is happening here?
I know. Well, there's this big conspiracy thing that's going around about. What did they say? They told me that Oprah was found with like, I don't even know, like millions of dollars, and flying somewhere, flying to I don't even know. I can't even remember the story, but she was.
Oprah got arrested. Eddie said in the comment section.
Oh yeah, see, yeah, that she got arrested because she had all this money and she got caught, and anyway, it's this whole big thing now. But I did not see her name in there. No, one of the names though that was interesting, and he's been connected to Epstein for quite some time, was Jean-Luc Brunel. So he was really good friends with these two, and he actually was like a modeling agent in France. Like he was a recruiter, he was a manager, so he had access to all these young men and women. And I mean, they're all ambitious, who knows what their backgrounds were, but he recruited, unfortunately, a lot of young women allegedly for Epstein because of his position he was in. And he got arrested. Hold on, let me find the date here. He got arrested as well for graping underage women, was his charge. It was in 2022. Was it in 2022? He unalived himself in 2022. So he ended his life the same way Epstein did. He hung himself in prison.
Wow.
Yeah, waiting for trial, but that's what he was charged for as well. So, I mean, I think we can all garner that he was guilty as anything as well. There's tons of pictures you can find of them. And there's so many more pictures of him and Ghislaine than there is of him and Epstein. So it's kind of interesting too.
But he's gone, so we can't get that information.
Yeah, he ended his life too. Yeah.
Do you believe, or is there any evidence to suggest that Epstein has these wild tapes of top politicians or any other high profile names doing this weird, crazy stuff in his New York mansions or the island or whatever? Or
Yeah.
what's your take on that? Because we hear a lot about this. Oh, those tapes, the FBI took them and they don't want to share them.
I think if
What's your
those
take on this?
existed and the FBI had them, everybody would be arrested right now. So I call BS on the FBI having them. I mean, who knows? He totally could have been using stuff for blackmail. But again, he wouldn't want himself caught. Like he wouldn't want to have evidence of this going on because he doesn't want to go to jail for this stuff either. So I don't know. Who knows? I definitely don't think the FBI have all of these mysterious tapes of wrongdoing though, because all those people would be arrested if that was the case.
Got it. And the reason why I bring that up is because a recent report, this came out January 3rd or around there. This is per the New York Post. And let me read this part here real quick to get your take on it. So it says, here's a direct quote from Epstein, supposedly. I believe his brother made this claim. Let me see if I can find it. Anyway, let me read the quote. It says, and I quote, "If I said what I know about both candidates, they'd have to cancel the election." This is referring to the 2016 election. And then he continues. It says, "That's what Jeffrey told me in 2016. Mark Epstein told the Post Wednesday." I'm guessing that's his brother, I'm guessing. Recalling a conversation he had with his brother about the showdown between Trump and Hillary Clinton. What do you think about that? Have you looked into the brother, by the way?
No, I haven't looked into his brother at all, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if they had major dirt on all those political candidates. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
So do you believe then that there's this, maybe they have some tapes or maybe videotapes or audio tapes, or?
I don't believe there's tapes or video.
Because you think the FBI would have jumped already on those people?
Oh yeah, it's
even
weird.
if they were Clintons, you believe so?
No, I don't believe that they have anything evidence wise on any of them, or they'd be charged. I don't believe it at all. I do believe this man probably has a crap ton of stuff in his head that will never be known now, but I don't think there was tapes or anything like that.
Got it. Okay. So you
Yeah.
don't believe they were, even if they were to do something like that, you don't think they were that stupid to just.
No, I can't imagine. I mean, again, who knows? I think the main reason I don't believe it is because they'd be arrested. Like, I think if the FBI had stuff, um, and I don't necessarily like. I know people are like, "Oh, they're politicians; they'd be protected." Well, maybe they'd be protected, but I'm sure there'd be a lot more other people in these videos that they'd go after anyway. Like, and that nobody has been gone after. So I don't think anything like that exists.
Okay. And have we heard anything about? Because I think wasn't there a report that suggested that the FBI or any of these entities, when they raided Epstein's properties, they found pictures, videotapes. Any details on what's any of those? Have they been shown to anyone?
I don't think they've been, I don't think they could be shown because it has underage girls and stuff in it, right? But that's how they would have had him for sex trafficking.
But any details in any court documents at all, or what's in those
He
videos?
didn't go to court, so we don't have any of it.
He didn't go to court. That's correct.
If he had gone to trial, we'd know all of it.
But didn't he state end up in court?
Oh, you mean the first time?
Yeah, no. That after unalived himself.
Oh, did you say his estate?
Yeah, he's a state, didn't
Oh, sorry,
he?
sorry. That it wouldn't be the same though. They wouldn't be playing any of this stuff because it wouldn't be the sex trafficking charges, right? That would have been probably him being sued.
True, because Virginia was suing Epstein's estate, correct?
She sued. I keep saying her name wrong. I think it's Ghislaine or Ghislaine.
I call her Ghislaine. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was doing too. And then someone told me I was wrong, and now I
Oh,
can't.
it's just Lane. Whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, that's who the court documents that are coming out right now are from the court case with her. So there's been a couple other ones as well. And I know like there was one with Prince Andrew, and maybe all those documents are going to come out now as well. But the ones the people were going after were her court, her day in court.
Okay, so no particular information about those tapes or photos have been in court documents as of yet.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some in like the situations with her, like the Prince Andrew pictures and stuff like that. But no, not that I know of.
Got it. Okay, so that's
Nicole
still
said she thinks the S is silent, so Ghislaine.
Guy Lane.
That sounds terrible. Maybe it's Ghislaine. I'm gonna start saying that. She let me go, Ghislaine. That's what I'm gonna say, Match.
Yeah. Okay, so then, yeah, you see, that's where conspiracy theories jump in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and nothing is ever presented kind of everything all at once. So everybody reads stuff into it. And when things get redacted and, when you only hear half the story, of course you're going to get conspiracy theories. Like people want the whole truth and they want it all at once. And that's not how anything works, unfortunately. So we get all this, conspiracy theories and, half truths and people dropping Michael Jackson's name that he was in the documents and not saying how. Like poor Stephen Hawkins, like, did I say his
Please tell. Oh, I'm glad you brought him up. I was going to ask you about that. Have you seen the memes online about that?
Bad, like poor man.
But
Not only that, but it makes fun of people with disabilities in this horrid way. Like, oh my god,
it is. But I gotta admit, some of them were pretty funny. Some
oh,
of them
it's so
were.
bad.
I mean, I didn't know. Like, I just was scrolling and I saw like, oh, this is what Hawkins was doing, and I saw like the person in the wheelchair like running and doing all these things. I was like, what is this all about? And then I started doing more research. I was like, oh, that's what they meant. I mean,
Yep.
the internet is wild. They
Oh, it's
just go
crazy.
for it.
I know. Yeah.
So what
Any
about
weakness and they're on it.
yeah? So what about him? What about Hawkins?
I can't figure out the whole scoop on him. So I've been trying to dig into that, and all I can come up with is this gross, weird context where Epstein is like trying to get somebody to get rid of the rumors that there was a threesome with Stephen Hawkins, and I can't figure it out. Honestly, it's
But
insane.
was this like speculation? Right, obviously.
It's what it sounds like. It sounds like it was speculation. Epstein hears it, and then he's trying to get rid of it. Like I don't even know. It's bad.
Was this not was he mentioned on the court documents?
That's where it was coming from. Like this whole story kind of was from that. Like it's weird.
Really?
Yeah.
So he was on the documents.
Just this weird context. Like this trying to get rid of a threesome speculation thing. I don't even know.
So Stephen Hawking's, Epstein, and threesome was mentioned in like the same paragraph.
I get yeah, from Epstein. Like he's like,
Oh no.
get rid of this rumor. Like we need to, get rid of this. I don't even know. I don't. It's just it's all bad. It's all bad.
Oh, you just created more memes for Hawkins there.
I hope not. They
Oh
were
man,
awful. Yeah, they
that's
were everywhere for
crazy.
days.
Oh man, wow, that's wild.
Yeah.
So even Epstein wanted to get rid of that rumor.
Oh yeah, like that's and unfortunately for him, that's why it's brought up and everybody knows about it is because not because it was a rumor, it's because he was talking about getting rid of the rumor.
Right. By the way, who is saying that this happened? Is this like various witnesses or just one person? Thank you, Holly.
It was just one comment. Yeah.
Just one comment. No, but I'm saying like all of these documents, clearly they're not audio tapes. Like, where is this information coming from?
All the documents are the depositions from the lawsuit between Virginia Giuffre and Ghislaine Maxwell. So when she sued Ghislaine Maxwell, all of these documents that have come out are the text, like all the recording of the deposition, like everything that was said is recorded, and that's why it's thousands of pages.
Got it. Okay.
And
Wow.
that's why it came out in chunks because it would be like, the first chunk was like 40 documents. Like I think it was something like 900 pages. So it would be like, the first day or something of trial. And so it was all broken up.
Got it. Okay. So various sources, if you will.
Yeah. So anybody who was a witness or part of her lawsuit that spoke in court in the deposition, that's who was in there. So it would be like, an employee of Jeffrey Epstein or another victim of Ghislaine or, it could have been anybody, like a detective that.
But it is still hearsay, correct?
It's all hearsay. Yeah.
It's all hearsay. Okay. So it's very important to mention that it's
all hearsay.
all
it's
hearsay.
I shouldn't say it's hearsay. I mean, it's because hearsay would be like, so hearsay would have been Epstein saying that Clinton liked them young. That's hearsay. Like I heard from Clinton that he likes them young. So that's Epstein hearsay. But having Virginia say, I had sex with Prince Andrew, that's not hearsay. That's her witness testimony, I guess. So if she had said,
So is it a mixture then
yeah, exactly.
of hearsay and witness?
Yeah, it's both. Yeah.
Got
So
it.
like the David Copperfield situation where he apparently says, did you know Epstein's has girls recruiting other people for him? That one would be hearsay because that's him apparently saying it to a witness and then the witness telling them about it.
Copy. Okay.
No, nothing.
Okay.
Negative.
So then, do you think that this case or Epstein and Ghislaine, we clearly know that there was this trafficking going on and they did all these things. Okay, we know that. But do you think that there's also this component to it to which the people online are suggesting that they were running this major trafficking network to high profile people like politicians, celebrities, and I'm talking beyond Prince Andrew. You know,
Oh yeah.
like actually like sort of maybe I don't know if it was for money or for just events or stuff like that. Do you think it was like a huge network and they actually had a client list?
Oh
Not this
yeah.
particular document, but you think they actually had like a client list where it was like a business for big people? Do you think
That's
that's
I think,
true?
yeah. What I think that's the rumor that was coming out that there was this list. I don't think there's a list, but there's way more people involved than have been brought up or that we know about, I think.
And why do you think we haven't heard about that?
Yeah, I don't think we've heard everything yet. I think there'll probably be more coming out over the years, but yeah, I think people probably paid a lot of money to hide a lot of this stuff.
So you do think then that it is possible that we have big names that were involved in this?
Oh yeah, I absolutely do. I don't think that the government is hiding this stuff and being paid off. I think that would have to be too many people involved. But I completely believe that there's young women out there that, did things with men that they're not talking about.
Got it. So you don't think it's a conspiracy then? You just think that some witnesses that can come out are just being kept quiet.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think there's any conspiracy. I think it's completely out in the open. I think we all know he was a sex trafficker. He gave young women to his buddies, and I think it's out in the open. I think everybody knows about it. I think we just don't know everybody that was involved.
Got it. Okay. And then do you believe that Epstein was doing this for money? Epstein and Ghislaine?
Oh, absolutely not. No, he was loaded.
No.
He didn't need the money. I think this was his fetish. This was his jam. He loved this. He loved being, unfortunately, with these younger women. And
No, no. I mean, I know that about him, but I mean, like, if he had other big names
yeah,
involved
no, I
when he
think he
was
just
giving it
loved
to
it.
them,
I
why
think
would he
I
do
think he
that?
just loved it. I think he was like loving this, and this is his thing. And he was like, "Oh my God, you've got to try this. Here, have my girls." Like, I don't think no, he was paying the girls to do this. But no, I don't think he was getting any money from anybody else doing it. If that
So
was
it
the
was more like a
case,
power trip. It wasn't really
oh
like a
yeah,
business thing.
no, he was like pleasuring his friends. Like he was giving them as gifts because if that was the case, he wouldn't have been the one paying people like Virginia to have sex with Lex Wexner or whatever she's accused. Is that his name, Wexner? Or did I say that right? Yeah,
Yes.
Wexner. So he paid like for Prince Andrew. He apparently gave her like $15,000 to have sex with Prince Andrew, is what she's alleging. If that was the case, Prince Andrew would have been paying that. So no, I don't think he was getting money from this. I think he was treating his buddies.
Got it. Okay, and then what happened to Jeffrey Epstein's estate? Any news on that? Like, do they still
I
have
have
money? Do
no
they give out
idea.
money?
Yeah, I haven't looked into that. I have no idea. I don't know if there's still money around, if she got it all. I have no idea.
What about her, Ghislaine? I watched her documentary. I think it's also on Netflix.
It is, yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Because that documentary was all about her, but they were like, oh, we don't know where she is, or she could be
Yeah.
living here, she could be living there. And then fast forward a year or two later, and she's in prison.
Yeah.
That's so wild to me.
It's crazy. Like the
Like,
whole
she could have
thing.
been watching that and be like, wow, they're looking for me.
Yeah, I know, right? Like I better stay hidden.
Yeah. Why do you think she didn't leave the country? She knew this was coming.
Oh, well, I think she was leaving the country. I think she was like jet setting and like living her best life, but you get held accountable, right? So,
Yeah. I just found that interesting. Like, she has or had all this money. Like, why wouldn't she just leave the country like way ahead of time? It's
yeah.
like she
Well,
stayed
she
here
would
for a
have had to live
while.
hidden though. It's not just leaving the country. Like she would have had to go into hiding, and I'm sure that's hard to
Right.
do. I'm just going to comment on Becky's comments here. Becky just commented and said, this is so damaging if you don't know all of the info on this. Wild. And people are bullying me. Becky, we don't have to know all the info. It's impossible for me to know all the in and out of this. We're talking about the documents that I read. I don't know everything about where his money is and stuff like that, and nor do we need to. It's not damaging at all. We're not stating misfacts, and that's why I'm coming out and saying I don't know. I have to look into it because I'm not gonna, speculate or spread rumors. So it's not damaging at all. But thank you.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, and nobody knows everything about this case clearly. That's why we're still getting new information, and that's what we're discussing here today.
That's why we're doing things like this.
Exactly, and that information that we do have, we clarify it.
Connected. Oh
yeah.
Okay, now I know what you're all about, Beck. You keep on with your conspiracy theories. I don't need to connect.
Oh, she's a conspiracist.
Yeah, must be.
Yeah.
Thanks, Beck.
Okay, so then Ghislaine, right? Is she accused of also, by the way, in these documents, is she accused of also, I know that she helped bring some of these girls to him, but is she accused of also doing the abuse as well?
Yes, and I don't know if she was going to be charged for that part or if that was, I don't want to say mutually done, but like Virginia talks about sexual experiences with her as well. But I don't know if that was like a mutual decision that they did that or if Virginia felt she had to. Like it's not really clear. But her main, I guess, hand in this, in my opinion, is the grooming of all these girls. Like, yes, she recruited some, but the majority were recruited by other people. But she would make everybody feel comfortable. She would bring them in and, it's not this creepy man talking to this 17-year-old. It's her. And she had a way with it. And she would make them feel comfortable and loved and safe. And then all of a sudden they're in with Jeffrey and he's got his pants down. Like it's this whole big thing. Like she groomed them. She helped him groom these girls.
She was already declared guilty, correct?
Yeah, yeah. She's in 20 years. Yeah.
20 years.
Yeah, she got 20 years.
Wow. Yeah. Shouldn't that be more though?
I think 20 years is appropriate. Like I think the charges that she got, the level of charges that she had, that's a lot for what she got.
Got it. And we haven't heard any accusations about any of these victims being unalived, correct?
There's rumor. Oh, there goes my light. There's rumors, but no, there hasn't been any charges or anything like that.
Just rumors. Okay.
Yeah. A lot of people saying stuff that I've heard people saying like there's bodies buried on his island and stuff like that, but they're all just rumors.
Oh, conspiracy.
Yeah.
What about the island, by the way? Have you seen footage from the island?
Yes. Well, if you watch the documentary on Netflix too, you can see a lot. You hear some of the victims talking about it. My biggest problem with that island is once these young girls got to the island, they were literally stuck. Like if you are, brought to the island, like, hey, we're going for this big party with all these famous people. Once you get to that island, you're on an island. So these girls that didn't know what to expect that got there would 100% feel like they had to follow through on whatever Jeffrey Epstein asked of them because they're stuck on his island. So I think that, in my opinion, would have been so much worse than just being invited to his home. Like to be brought to that island is so, you're being secluded. Like you have no way off. You have no way out. So you would also, besides being groomed, you'd have that feeling of I'm trapped and I need to do what I need to do to be able to get off this island again.
I go back to the parents once again, right? Like
a lot of the girls though that were brought, now I shouldn't say that because we're not going to know most of the victims that were brought there, but a lot of the girls that were brought were adult age. They were just being trafficked. Like they were, 18 and above. There were young people, I'm sure, that were brought as well. But a lot of them, you got to remember too, were not from, the wealthy Palm Springs area. They were from, low income families. They needed money. They were from, struggling families who probably didn't check in on their kids all that much. Like there's so many ways around that. Like the kids will say anything to their parents. Like, yeah, I'm staying at Sally's house for the night, and really they're on Epstein's island for the night. Like, who knows what they were telling their families?
And see, that's a part that I feel like it should be looked into as well, by the media. Because
I'm sure it probably was. Yeah, I'm sure.
yeah, because like I would love to interview these parents and be like, where the hell were you? Like,
And a lot of parents have done interviews on this. Like they had no idea this was happening. And a lot of the girls would like be at school and they'd be like, hey, after school, you should go to this rich guy's house. He'll pay you money, blah, blah, blah. So they'd go out like 4 o'clock and be home at 6. Like your parents aren't going to be like, where were you? What was happening? Like you're in high school. So a lot of it, like, the parents have come forward and said they had no idea, or the parents are the reason this got brought forward because finally the kids confessed, or they looked into what was going on. Like yeah, the parents do have interviews with this stuff. It's awful.
got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and the island, it looks crazy, that island, huh?
I know, right?
Like those things, the statues,
It's like
that sort of
Neverland for
weird
pets.
blue building that seems like it has no door, correct? I don't know.
It looks like somebody said this in one of my comments, and it's going to be in my head for the rest of my life. But they said it's like Neverland for pedos.
Wow. Yeah.
That.
Interesting. Yeah, it's just I watched some of these videos, and then I think some social media, one of these TikTokers or YouTubers actually went in there. I don't know if you saw that video.
Oh, I don't think I saw that.
They sort of just went there on a boat and they just got in there to film real quick, and then they were chased out of the island. It was like very dramatic, but it looks very creepy, very creepy.
Especially now. Like
Yeah.
there's like ghosts now.
So Jeffrey's gone. Ghislaine is still here. Do you think she runs the risk of what happened to Jeffrey? Does she run the same sort of risk? And I know you said that you're unsure if Jeffrey unalived himself or not, but what's your take on that?
I don't think so. I think now that she's been sentenced and it's over. I think it's all done. I think she's going to serve her time and get out. Maybe something that'll happen in 20 years if she gets out, but yeah.
Got it. So in her particular case, there's no more information coming out, right? Or is she appealing, or?
Who knows if that'll come up, but as of right now, not that I know of.
Got it. So then, in these court documents that keep coming out, what's the purpose of it? Is it a lawsuit by anyone, or?
The documents are a lawsuit, but there were I can't remember if it was a journalist or a victim. Maybe guys, you'll know in the comments. Somebody was petitioning to get these unredacted, get them released.
Got it. So right now, is there an active case right now, or no?
No.
Against the
I don't know
Epstein
if
estate?
it's got anything, lawsuits or anything going on, or any other victims, but not that
So
I know.
it's just a journalist seeking information.
It was either that or another victim that wanted it released, and I can't remember which it was. I know I read it, but I can't remember. But
Got
somebody was
it.
petitioning to have the courts release it, and the judge
Are,
said okay.
okay. Are new victims coming out still?
Yeah, victims seem to all the time kind of come forward and say stuff. Whether or not it's legit or not, I don't know. But there's a lot that haven't spoken. Like I think there's a lot of girls that just don't want their name out there.
Got it. Is there a way to verify any of these victims' claim, you think?
I think they were able to for some of it
Like,
with timelines and stuff, but I think most of it's going to be like any, graping case. It's basically the victim telling you what happened.
and that's it, no specific
Yeah.
proof.
And when you look at history and all of the people that came forward, it's pretty evident what happened.
Okay. Yeah, I think, like you said, we're probably going to get a lot more information in the years to come. Maybe every year we'll get like new details.
Yeah, we could, right? It's so huge.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
to this point, you strongly believe that, like the Clintons were not involved in the way that people think, or Trump, or
Oh, I
big
wouldn't say
names,
that.
because
No,
we would have already seen
no,
them
I wouldn't say
prosecuted.
that. I don't believe that the Clintons, or like, I shouldn't say Clintons. I don't believe Bill Clinton or Donald Trump, or any of those people weren't involved and didn't do something. I just know from these documents that they weren't named. I mean, they could have
Got it.
done
Okay.
stuff. I don't
So,
know.
per these specific documents, you don't see
Yeah,
any wrongdoing.
exactly.
Doesn't mean that maybe we'll get something later on
Right.
that can say otherwise.
Right, exactly. That's
Okay.
exactly it. And
Okay.
I sometimes wonder if there were two Jeffrey Epsteins. Like, I wonder if there was his gross, disgusting fetish side and then his political, socialite, smoozer side, and maybe they didn't go together. Like, I feel like he might have read people and been like, just as an example, this buddy of his, Jean-Luc, who was also charged with this stuff, maybe he read him and he was like, oh, he's into the same gross stuff I am. So they opened up to each other and did this stuff together. Whereas maybe someone else he was with, he would read and be like, I don't know if he's into this. I'm not going to bring it up. And so they never had that experience together. Like, I often wonder if that was the case.
Got it. Because it's very possible that he, like you said, had this business politician sort of personality and just kept it all business.
Yeah,
And then only with his, those that he felt comfortable with, he
exactly.
did those things that he was doing.
Because you got
But
to
he
think
knew a
about.
lot of people, so you can't really put everyone together in the same
Right.
group.
Right. Because you have to think about how popular he was and how he threw all these huge parties, and people were inviting him to everything. And if he was open about what he was doing, that wouldn't have been the case. Not because they were against it per se, but because they wouldn't want to be associated in the press if anything ever came out. People would be like, whoa, I'm out of here. This is bad press, right? So I feel like there was two sides of him. Like, I feel like people like Naomi Campbell wouldn't have a clue this was going on. She would have just seen him like the Hugh Hefner of the financial world and invited them to her birthday party, not knowing. As opposed to, Jean-Luc, who we know for sure was involved and was charged himself. He would have known this was going on, and he would have been in this secret squirrel, look at these young girls and what I'm doing kind of world. So I definitely think he wasn't showing his true self to everyone. But I think that there were enough hints and clues with his past and the charges that people kind of should have been looking at it a little more clearly.
No, for sure. Yeah. And, maybe it's also difficult, right? Because when, you have those sort of status, and even ourselves too, like we're very busy too with our things, so we can have a mutual friend that shows up at a party. We're not going to investigate everything about his life, oh,
Exactly.
he's an engineer, or he's a doctor, or whatever, he makes money,
Yeah.
or right. But you're going to be like, oh, what else does he do? No, just nice to meet you, how, welcome, whatever. And, oh, you bring the friend again, he was very nice, we met him last time, bring him over. And then you build that connection, but
Yeah.
doesn't mean you know what he's doing in his private
Exactly.
life.
Do you know what I can equate it to? This might be a funny connection, but when you look at swingers, if they're not open swingers, so I personally don't know anybody that I know that are swingers, but I bet you there are some. But they're not going to come out to me and be like, "Hey, we're swingers. Are you interested?" Because I'd be like, "What the?" So swingers that do that in their personal time aren't going to go to a work function and talk about their swinging lifestyle. Like, they know contextually where they can talk about it and where they can't, and they don't want it to be part of them. I feel like that would have been something with him. Like, when he's having these fundraiser events at his island, they're not having these young underage girls running around hitting on people or whatever else. He's got people there that he's trying to make political connections to, and get some financial stuff going on, and name dropping. And so this is like a business event where he wouldn't have all this hidden gross stuff that he was doing. Like, I think he had different parties, and depending on who was at those parties, that would tell kind of what went on.
No, that makes sense. And What about Hillary? What's her name on these documents?
Hillary Clinton, you mean?
Clinton. Yeah.
I haven't seen anything with Hillary.
No, it was
I
just
just found
Bill,
out.
right? That was mentioned.
I might not have read that part. I tried to read most of it, but once the new document dumps were coming, I was like, I'm over this. It was so much legal stuff in there. It was bad.
Too many pages.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Wait, so hold on. So Bill Clinton was mentioned, right?
yeah.
He was, but not Hillary,
Not that,
or at least that you know of yet.
yeah,
Yeah, got it. Yeah, no, look, it makes sense because, yeah, just like it's like I said with everyone, like you can't really know what everybody's doing in your life. Like those people that are around you, you can't really know what they're doing
We
behind
don't know
closed doors.
we know their outward persona. We don't know what's going on in everyone's personal lives. So
It's impossible. And then
yeah,
it would be unfair if they did something for you to be put in the same circle just because you have them in some shape or form in your life. It's just, yeah, it's unfair. But, that's how the media is, right? Once you're out there, it's difficult to shut it off.
I know.
And again, guys, there is no list. This is all court documents, and I'm glad that Julie, the recap, is here to be able to clarify that. You see a lot of these videos on TikTok, YouTube, whatever, saying, "Oh, here's the list and here's the flight log," but it's really court documents that you have to read and then see the context of all of that.
And it's a lot of read, guys. If you want
A lot of reading, yeah. Do you have any other big names that you were like, oh, like raised your eyebrows?
Those were the big ones, I think. The ones that I mentioned, those were kind of the names that either surprised me the most, or were kind of like the ones I can't believe that more isn't being investigated in a couple of those names. Like I don't know. It just, yeah, those were kind of the biggest names that I took from it. Because names that like Naomi Campbell, Leonardo DiCaprio, like names like that, they were not in there as anything other than, like, as an example for Naomi Campbell, that she had a birthday party that they were going to. So they're not names to me that, are of any importance. Like they weren't a part of this world. They weren't, it was kind of just mentions.
And then, so all of these cases, well, all of these names that were listed here, again, it's just you have to read the context because they're all different.
Yeah.
But do you believe that if Epstein was alive, we would have seen or heard more information than what we have today, or no?
Yeah. I totally think that. I think
What?
if his case had have gone to trial, I think we would have gotten a ton of stuff out.
Wow. So then that says a lot, no?
Yeah, I think it does. I think he had a lot of information in his head. Whether or not he ever would have shared that, who knows? But I think everything that was uncovered to charge him with sex trafficking would have all come forward, and we would have been able to get that in court documents. But now, because he's dead, we won't see any of that.
Yeah. And look, I mean, in my opinion, I believe that he didn't unalive himself.
Yeah,
You
I think
know,
a lot of people think that.
yeah, like being in a prison of that level, high profile case, to me is like, I don't know, it's just doesn't make sense to me.
I know.
Especially with all the information that he had, all the connections he had. I mean, you just open the door for conspiracy,
Totally.
you know?
There's
Yeah.
certain conspiracy theories that I'm like, come on, people, like give your head a shake. This one, I completely understand why people have this conspiracy theory. I mean, even I'm sometimes like, so I completely understand this one.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I do want to open the panel here. If you have any questions for Julie, the recap, do you mind if I let someone in? I think she wants to ask you a question.
No, that's
Okay.
great.
So let's, oh, she dropped out. Let me send her the invite again. You can join us, Amy, if you want to ask Julie anything. Or if any of you guys want to join, just send a request and then we'll do that real quick. So then, what's your your take on Ghislaine's defense? Like, she said that she was innocent, that she
Garbage.
was not part of this. There's no evidence.
Yeah,
What's
I
your
think it's
take on
all
that?
garbage. Janie just said, "Where's Becky?" Janie. Becky was
Yeah,
the one that
Becky,
was
where
like,
are
"This
you,
is what he
Becky?
said." Hey, Jalen. Yeah. If you guys have questions, drop it in the comments if you don't want to come up and chat, or put in a request. And you guys can come up and chat with us.
Yeah, either or. So, what's your take on that? On Ghislaine's claim that she has nothing to do with this?
I think it's garbage. I think that she was guilty as sin. Everybody knew she was guilty as sin. She was his number one. Like, she of anybody would have known all of his dark sides and fetishes, and like, she would have known it all, and she was right in there.
Yeah, and it's crazy, right? Like, when you hear stuff like this, and it's like it went on for so long.
Yeah, it's just gross. And she obviously must have got something for it. Like, she must have enjoyed that aspect of him, or she wouldn't have been there. So,
Like, I wonder how that worked, right? Like, how did that relationship get to that level? You
and
know?
I've seen pictures and stuff that I find very telling. Like, I have a picture of Jean-Luc Brunel and the two of them. They're on a plane, and Jeffrey Epstein has his foot down Ghislaine. Sorry, guys. Ghislaine's top. And Jeffrey's like looking at Jean-Luc laughing, and Jean-Luc is pretending to look away. Like, they have this whole, dynamic. Like, it's gross. I think they were.
It's so weird. And I believe, I don't know if it was in the documentary or an interview, that he had a temper, supposedly, too.
Oh yeah, and I think he was like moody as well. Like, I believe she commented about, like, sometimes she'd tell the girls like he's not in a good mood, and yeah, it was just bleh. He's just gross.
Yeah, I mean, the whole story is crazy. Like, if you watch the documentary on Netflix, it's pretty wild.
Yeah,
That how
definitely worth
his
a watch.
story is just very, very wild and eye opening. Yeah, but
Yeah.
what truly, I guess, where I can see some of these conspiracy theories pop out is because the first time around, he got such a good deal,
Oh,
you
it's
know?
nuts. It's
So
nuts.
it's like, wait a minute. And then he gets caught and then he's unalived. Like, he unalives himself. So it's like, the time he gets caught, when he has no exit,
Yeah, yeah,
he gets unalived. And the
yeah,
first time when you had him, Epstein, we're talking about here, the first time when you had him, he just gets such a lesser charge.
yeah, yeah. Exactly.
It's like, why?
And we don't really know. Like, was it because they didn't have enough evidence, so they were like, if he pleads guilty, we'll do, like, or if were his lawyers superstars at getting this plea deal? Like, I don't know what it was, but it's gross. Like, it's gross that the legal system let him get away with 13 months. It's crazy.
So I know that you, on your channel, you cover a lot about celebrity and crime and the news like this. Have you seen a similar pattern of this lesser charge to other celebrity cases? That you
Do
can
you
say, oh, I'm not surprised that he got this lesser charge back in
Oh,
2008.
I see what you're saying. Do you know what? Yeah, I do find that celebrities, and to be fair, I don't even know if I can say celebrities or if we need to say people with money. Because I think if you have the right lawyers, which money can buy, I think it makes a huge difference than, someone who doesn't. So I think that's the big thing in it. I think notoriety always helps you in situations like that as well. But I think it's your legal team. I think that is the big thing.
So it's more about money. But why, though? What do you think that is? If you have the evidence and you have a good lawyer, like,
How
what
they
can a good
use
lawyer
it.
do?
Well, if you've got a good lawyer with all this experience, they're going to know how to twist your case in order to get you off, or they're going to know all those little loopholes that they can pull out and throw things out. And it's night and day. If you have someone with really good experience that you're paying a lot for, night and day.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
you do see this pattern, but you don't think it's more because of the celebrity status, more of the money status.
I think so. I think
Yeah.
for the jury's side of it, I think the celebrity thing would play into that, where they might have a different perception of the person in their head if they're famous. But I think it's all about the legal team. I think if the legal team is exceptional and you've paid a lot for it, you're going to get off easier than someone who didn't.
Got it. I've also seen this wild conspiracy. Again, I don't know. It looks like it's a conspiracy because I haven't seen it reported anywhere. That Trump was accused of something similar in a court case. Have you heard about that?
Something similar to Epstein?
To Epstein, yeah, of a minor, and that
Oh,
Trump
no.
did some wild things, and that supposedly it's a court document, but it was like, I don't know, under the
I
table or
try
something.
and stay completely away from Trump stuff because I think there is so much BS when it comes to Trump. It's absolutely crazy. The people that love Trump are insane. The people that hate Trump are insane. And because of that, you have so much just garbage out there to weed through. So I never know what to believe when it comes to Trump.
So you stay away from it. By the
Oh
way, I
yeah.
like Trump, but I'm not insane. Just making it clear.
No, but it's both sides. Like I
Yeah.
think if you love them or if you hate them, it drives people crazy. Like they're diehards. Like it's nuts. Like God forbid you say something negative about Trump, everybody chews you out. And then if you say something positive about Trump, everybody chews you out. So you
The
can't.
other side chews you out. Yeah. So
Yeah, yeah, you
you're gonna
can't.
get chewed anyway.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
So you just stay away from that at all.
he's one of those people that you either love or you hate.
Right. Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so then no, that's good. That's good to hear because I do see this pattern, and we've seen a lot of these cases, celebrity cases, where there's like, how is this person innocent? Like, and then like you said, it depends on the lawyer if you have a good attorney.
But Jalen just had a great example. She just said O.J. Simpson.
O.J. Simpson, I was about to say that. Yeah,
Rock star legal team right there.
yeah,
Amazing legal team.
yeah. I mean, even wasn't even the one of the attorneys like in shock when he was declared innocent?
Oh, I think they were all probably like, "Holy crap!
Yeah,
You did this really?"
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Like if you watch his face, it was like in shock. Like, oh, you're innocent.
yeah, exactly.
That's crazy.
Holly,
Yeah,
good point.
yeah. What do you think is next here for these Epstein's documents here? What do you think is going to happen next,
I
based
think
on what you've
everybody
seen?
now, journalist wise, I think are going to be going for all these documents. I think now that these have been released and unredacted, my guess is they're going to try for everything. Like it'll be interesting to see like the legal document papers from Ghislaine's trial. Like that would be interesting. I know there's a lot out now, but I think stuff will be dug into more now.
Also, those haven't been released yet.
No, they have.
Ghislaine's.
There's a lot of it out, but I don't think anybody's like broken down or unredacted stuff. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what comes out next.
Got it. What do you think Ghislaine's trial was private?
Same thing with like Lori Vallow and stuff. I think it just depends on the judge, and they do a lot of like weighing of like public interest versus right to a fair trial. And then it just depends on the judge. Like I know with the Idaho 4 case with Brian Koberger, the judge is having a crazy time with that one because Brian Koberger didn't want it televised or anything at all. So the judge had to weigh like what to do. So he's going to televise it through the court system, but no media is allowed in. And nobody now is even going to be allowed to like live blog during the trial. Like they're going to have to record it, like write it all down and then publish it after. So it's just depends on the judge, I think.
So you don't think again there's some form of like conspiracy? It's just
No.
depends on the judge.
Yeah, I think it depends on the judge. I think it depends on the context and the content involved as well. Just another example of a case I'm following, like the Ruby Frankie court case, one of the child custody situations with them has now been closed for the safety of the kids. So I think there's a lot of factors that play into when you have a closed court case and an open one.
Who's this, by the way, the Ruby case?
Ruby Frankie. So she was a vlogger. She had something called 8 Passengers. And she's a Mormon family. She had 6 kids. She vlogged her whole family. And all of these kind of accusations started coming out of like neglect and child abuse and stuff. And then in August, just this past August, her 12-year-old son escaped out of her business partner's home and went to a neighbor's house with like duct tape around his wrist, like he had been restrained and malnourished. And they ended up finding out that she had been restraining and abusing her 2 youngest kids for like months. So she's currently in the court system right now and awaiting sentencing February 20th. She took a plea.
Wow. So the evidence, the strong evidence in that one is her son.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. He escaped.
So is she like in prison in the meantime, or?
Yeah. So
She is.
they were waiting trial. Her and her business partner were both charged with 6 counts of child abuse, felony child abuse charges. And they were in jail waiting for their trial. And they both decided to put in a plea deal. So they pled guilty to 4 counts. So they're both in jail for sure right now. And then we're waiting for February 20th to find out for how long and what their sentence is going to be.
Wow.
Yeah.
And in a case like that, usually, what do they do in terms of defense? Like, what sort of attorney do they get?
Well, good question. We won't know really in that situation because they did a plea deal instead. So my opinion is they had good attorneys because there's no way they were going to look good through a trial. So they told them to plead. So I think in that case, their attorneys were well versed and knew like you're screwed. You need to plead.
Got it. Okay. And you follow all of these cases, right?
Yeah.
Like as soon as they come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find something that interests me and then I just dig into it and run with it. So I get a little too invested sometimes. Like right now, the Ruby Frankie case, the Gypsy Rose Blanchard case, like those are kind of like hot in my view right now. So I'm doing a lot of posting on those things, but yeah.
Yeah. My wife was telling me about the Gypsy Rose case. I didn't really see it too much. I've been covering all the news about what's happening on the political end of the country.
Yes.
So, but yeah, that was interesting, that case as well. Did that already finalized or not yet?
Yeah, she's out on parole. So she served about 80% of her sentence and she just got paroled. But the ex-boyfriend who helped her kill her mom is in prison for life. So there's a lot of controversy with that right now. But she's out and she's like
because she came out and he's still in.
Yeah, and she's like a huge internet personality right now. Like she's got like over 8 million followers on her platforms. And
are you kidding?
yeah, people are either loving her or hating her. Same thing.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay, Julie, I have Anne here wants to ask you something. Do you mind?
Sure.
Okay.
If I know the answer.
Go ahead, Anne. Welcome to the panel.
Hi, Anne. You might be muted.
She's still loading there.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. She's still loading there. I see on the screen.
What came out about the IG model this week? Erica, I don't know.
Since you cover these cases, just curious to get your opinion on the Watts family case.
The Watts family case?
Yeah. That's the Shannon Watts, Chris Watts.
Oh my God, it took me 10 minutes, I swear. I was like,
It's
what's
okay.
Watts? Oh, that's awful. That whole
That's crazy, right?
I have a really hard time when it's child abuse or child murder situations covering things. So there's been a lot of cases that I haven't really been able to cover. And that was one of them. That one really affected me. So I didn't really cover that one as much. I mean, I followed it and listened to all the podcasts, but I just knew I wouldn't be able to do it justice without getting upset. So I didn't do that one on my page, but that is exciting.
Yeah, and fell through. And you can send the request again. I'm not sure what happened there with your connection. Yeah, the Shannon Watts case, that was like, I watched various documentaries and even the letters that he wrote to these other journalists or whoever it was that was interviewing him, and it was wild. Like that was just I still can't understand.
Right? Like
I still can't get it. I don't
there's
get it.
things that you can't wrap your head around. Like
Yeah.
I don't know how someone could ever do something like that.
Yeah. I want to welcome Erica, Texas, to the panel here.
Yeah.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Good. How are
Go
you?
ahead.
Hola, Vega. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Julie, I had a question. I was wondering, on the Koberger case, I know you were saying that, I do watch a lot of court cases. I actually play them while I go to sleep,
Yes,
um,
same.
to listen to them.
Yes.
So right now, I know I follow the lawyer, I can't remember his name. Lawyer, he's from
Oh, I know who you
Florida.
mean.
He's from
Yes, I know
Florida.
who you mean.
Okay, so he came out this week and I fell asleep actually while I was listening to it, so I didn't finish. But on the Koberger case, did the judge, I know the judge did a ruling. Are they not, they said you could either handwrite notes, like the
Yeah.
media, I suppose. They can handwrite notes. But did they say they could have a laptop?
Yeah, so what he came out with now, and I don't know why he's added this after the fact, but so as you know, when he first came out, he said no live streaming. We're going to do it through our court system,
Correct.
which meant like they could tape everything, they could, live blog stuff like that, but they couldn't live stream it or record it and play it. But now what he's come out with is he said there's going to be absolutely basically no real time data released. So they're not allowed. You know how people with Twitter will go in and they will like every 2 seconds they'll post from the trial. They're not allowed to do that now.
But it
So
is going to be real-time live stream through the courts,
yes.
not
So
through
we'll
media.
still be able to watch it apparently through the
Correct.
court
Okay.
system, which
Okay.
is never a good system. Like they never have the
I
appropriate
know, because it's
camera
kind
set
of
up.
like an eagle view. It's like
Yes,
an eagle eye
exactly.
view. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
And nobody's going to be able to like live blog during. So we're going to have to wait till after for like our favorite podcasters and stuff to be able to like what they can do is they can write it all and save it, but they can't air it or release it until they get out.
Okay. So that's what I kind of thought I understood as I
Yeah.
was like falling asleep. And then the other one I was asking for is I'm not sure if the one, I was talking about the Instagram model.
Yes. What is that?
Courtney, oh my God, Courtney something or other. She's the girl Instagram model who killed her boyfriend.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah,
I did see that one.
I know her case is coming up and something came
Is
out.
this Courtney Cliney?
Courtney Clenny, that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was something about her that came out this week and I just haven't gone, I've been lazy. I just haven't gone to listen to it, but
I just saw something today that came out and I can't remember what it was. I can't remember. Something came out in that I did see it today too.
so I think because I follow the lawyer, I can't remember his last name for the life,
I can't either, but I know exactly who you mean.
yeah, he's really good at updating. Like almost every day he comes out with something. So I know he mentioned something about her, but I'm not sure. And then I heard some other stuff about the Murdaugh trial
Oh,
as well.
Murdoch?
Something just came out with Murdaugh. Yeah.
I didn't hear that one.
Yeah, something just came out with Murdaugh because apparently that clerk is having more issues now.
Oh, really? That doesn't
Yeah.
surprise me.
Yeah, she's having more issues, and I'm like, wow, they just really messed up that trial with that,
Oh,
because I know
I
they're
know.
asking for a retrial or something
Did
or
you
other.
follow Savannah Soto's case? The
I
18-year-old.
I live in that city right now. Yes.
Do you?
Yes,
So you probably saw that the stepmother was arrested too.
I did. I got to see it live. I did see
Her
the
perp walk.
yeah, I'm not from here, but I just recently moved. So, but yes, I did see the perp walk, and I saw the perp walk of the father and the son.
Yeah. Her and her too short pajama pants.
Oh, I saw that. I was like, wow, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a huge thing here right now, and
Oh, I
apparently
bet.
her service was supposed to be today, but it got postponed.
I saw that. And it said
Yeah.
because of a family emergency or something.
It did say that. I thought it was going to be due to the weather, but no, apparently they did say it was
That's
because of
upsetting.
family
That's
emergencies.
worrisome. And this is just my opinion, but I'm assuming this is like gang related, everything that kind of went down with them with through this drug deal gone bad and stuff. So it worries me that because Savannah lost her 15-year-old brother to the
It's
same
retaliation.
right, and that's
Uh,
what I'm worried might have happened, that something else to a family member or something. Like it's just scary, that whole
well,
situation.
I watched an interview yesterday of a girl who was actually friends with Matthew and Savannah, and apparently, they don't think it really has anything to do, because I don't know if you saw the clip where they Savannah's family actually started beating the guy in court.
Yes,
Yes.
for her brother Ethan.
Yes, about 2 months ago, I think so, or maybe now 3 months ago, sometime in October. So yeah, apparently that girl was saying that the accused, I'm going to say accused because he has not been charged.
Yes.
He's been
Yes.
charged but not convicted yet.
Yeah.
The Christopher, the one who's accused, apparently he Jesus, I lost my train of thought. He Oh my God, what was I going to say?
You're like, it's gone, it's gone.
It's gone.
Squirrel.
It happens to all of us.
I know.
Yeah.
Something
It's
about,
live. That's what we love being live.
I know.
You were talking about her friend that posted.
Apparently, yes, thank you. Apparently, this Christopher, even though, of course, the PD came out saying, SAPD came out saying that he did not have a record. However, a personal, I guess, friend of his and Savannah's came out and on a YouTube channel and stating that he is known to rob people.
Oh,
Maybe never had been caught, so therefore no record, hence the no record. However, that he was known to rob people, Christopher, the accused.
it wouldn't surprise me.
So yeah, so there's a whole bunch of that stuff going on. But yeah, that was an interesting thing to happen.
That whole lifestyle is so dangerous. Like once you get in that lifestyle, like anything can happen. It's
But
awful.
it's funny because even movies tell you they never turn out good.
Never.
And I
know.
I don't understand, but apparently, again, that Christopher guy was known to, rob people or what have you. But
Yeah.
because due to all the telegram messages and so forth, that apparently Matthew was showing off money, taking pictures and
Yeah. Was he ever?
what have you. Yeah, he was
With
flashing off
stacks of cash.
stacks and
Yeah.
stacks of cash on all social medias, I think.
Oh,
But mostly Telegram, I think. So,
yeah.
but yeah, I followed that one. Yeah, I do listen to a lot of cases during the day while I work. So I listen to a lot of that.
You are a true crime junkie.
I
Same.
am.
Same. Yeah.
It's just some of these cases are wild. Like,
Oh, it's nuts.
yeah, like, and then again, it's like, it seems like they're having this normal life. This, everything looks to be going perfectly fine. And then all of a sudden something insane happens. Like, oh, this person got arrested for, boom, unaliving their spouse or their kid or brother or whatever. You're like, what do you mean?
Lee just asked who we're talking about. I'll just do a quick little recap, guys. Savannah Soto and her boyfriend Matthew had gone missing before Christmas, and it was blowing up everywhere. She was 9 months pregnant. She was supposed to be induced the next day at 9 a.m. or 6 a.m. And they ended up finding their bodies like 4 days later in his car in a random parking lot, and they found surveillance footage and they put the pictures out, and then the suspects were arrested. And it's allegedly, I think Eric, is he 22? Is Christopher 22?
From my understanding, I thought he was like either 21 or 22.
Okay.
Something,
He's
but
around
in
that
that
he
vicinity. Yeah,
So
in that
he was
vicinity of age.
arrested, and his stepfather was arrested. So on the surveillance video footage, you can see his stepfather's truck, and the stepfather gets out, and it's all right there. And then they did further investigating, and they found out that the stepmother was involved. So the father's wife, allegedly, if she is the wife, was allegedly involved as well. So she was just arrested too. So now they have 3 suspects arrested, and they're saying, the police are saying, that it was like a drug deal gone bad. That ended. Oh, Chris is 19. Oh, thank you. Oh, Matthew's 22, isn't he? Father's 53, mom is 47. Thank you, Triple.
Yeah. Good
Yeah,
job.
so that's what it was.
So wait, you're saying that this entire family was missing?
No, just so Savannah Soto is she was 18 guys?
Yes.
18 and expecting, and then her boyfriend Matthew was who else was missing with her.
She was supposed to
Okay.
get induced the
Yeah,
day
she was supposed to
that
be
she
induced
went
next
missing.
day.
So she was full term and actually a week late from
And the boyfriend was the father of the kid?
Yeah.
correct.
Okay.
And so now it's a oh my God, what's the capital murder. So it's a capital murder because of the baby. So Christopher is being charged with a capital murder now because
And
the
the
3 of them.
father, yeah, the father and the mom are both being charged with abuse of a corpse, and the mom for also is got concealing weapon or evidence or tampering with evidence.
Tampering with evidence. Yeah. Because they moved the bodies and
Yes.
yeah. So the bodies were found in the vehicle. Allegedly, Savannah was in the front seat with the car seat on her lap, and Matthew was in the back seat. And they both had gunshot wounds behind their right ear.
That's crazy. What? Okay, so this case hasn't been finalized, right?
No, well, they've just been arrested, so it's going to go to trial.
It's going to go to trial.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea of the reason for this or no?
The reason for what?
For the unaliving?
Oh, the police said it was a drug deal gone bad.
Yeah. That's
So
why he was flashing loads of cash and things on his social media, because it's not like it used to be, y'all, because back in the day you would have a dealer, a DRUG dealer, and they would be on the lowdown. They would stay under the radar, go stealth mode, and do their business that way. Nowadays, it doesn't happen that way. Everybody in this generation, or the younger generation, should I say, they go public and kind of are not scared of consequences or don't care about the consequences, whatever it may be. So he was and I'm going to bring this up because, again, it's another crime thing, kind of like the Teflon Don, which is Gotti. Everyone hated for him, like all the other families hated him, the fact that he was going out public and showboating in front of cameras and that nature, because you're supposed to stay in stealth mode with that kind of business. And nowadays
They're flashing it.
they're just flashing it everywhere, and are really not they're really not afraid of the consequences. But like I said, these movies, even the movies that tell you whether it's based on a true story or whether it's, a fictional movie, they never end good, ever.
No. Yeah.
And I just don't see how it's so hard to comprehend that. It just does not end good. At one point or another, you're going to go down. And it's sad that 2 young people and an innocent child, were unalived,
Yeah. And the saddest thing is Savannah's family, because she lost her 15-year-old brother with the same reason, drug situation, the year before. He was unalived. He was shot as well. So,
Yep.
What's your take, Julie, on the trials of Gabriel Fernandez that was shown on Netflix?
did I watch that?
I saw pieces of that. That is so
Yes,
sad.
I think I did watch that.
That was the kid from California, I think. That his mom was, abusing him with, I believe, her boyfriend. Do you look into that at all? Or?
It was.
I saw it some time back. I can't remember, but I do know I saw it.
Yeah, that was a pretty strong documentary. That was pretty well. It was that was back in 2020 when it came out, I think.
I have
I
so many
can't
crime
think
cases
what it was.
in my head.
Yeah,
It's not even
it's so many, right? It's so many. It's hard to keep up.
Yeah, it's
it
true.
is.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I'm sure I watched it, but I can't
Right
remember.
now, I'm watching the trial, Julie. I'm watching the trial of Jennifer Dulos.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, that's
I,
what I'm
I
watching currently.
I haven't watched it at all.
It's
There's
interesting.
so much right now that I literally haven't had a second to do anything else with like Gypsy Rose and Ruby Frankie and the Epstein documents. And like I haven't been able to cover anything else. It's crazy. Everything in 2024 just all of a sudden was like dumped out.
Yeah, I'm.
Yeah, and
I'm.
it takes a lot of time, right? Because you do
Yes,
have to read all of these documents
exactly.
to be
Like
able to provide the information.
I can't skim. Like I'm anal, so I need to like dig into everything and try and know everything. So yeah, it takes a long time.
That's
Do
why I just
you
watch
go
the
ahead,
court.
Erica? Go ahead.
That's why I just watch the court case. I get all the facts from there, and
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it is hard to get it from TikTok because, like we mentioned earlier, these individuals usually just post the pictures. Oh, DiCaprio was on the island, and can you
Yeah.
believe it? And then, that's it. It doesn't provide the context of it.
Yeah, exactly.
So for these cases, right, like the Epstein documents and stuff like that, you read it. How do you show it on your do you do like the green screen? You put that section on your videos?
So I try not to put up the less interesting stuff. So what I usually do is like I'll show you, this is so embarrassing, but like these are what my notes look like. Like it's garbage. But I have
Let
to
me
handwrite
expand that. Go
everything.
ahead. Do you mind showing it again?
Oh yeah. So like, oh there we go. So like I have like pages. I have to
Wow, that's
handwrite
a lot of
everything.
notes there.
It's ridiculous, but that's
Wow.
how I have to do it. My brain, I need all the information. So I literally write everything down. And then I try and do pictures instead of like the actual document because nobody wants to see like a page behind me usually. So if it's a quote from someone, I might put it up and then show someone. But typically I'll put like a picture of just example, Trump. And I'll say like, okay, this is why he was mentioned in the document and just tell the information. So I try
Got it. Okay. So you do read the documents, but as you're reading, you're taking notes of the most important parts that you find.
Yeah.
And then,
I write everything and then I go back like in my margin. Like this is such a mess, but I can read it, so that's all that counts.
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So then you read this, you take these notes, and then on your videos, you post a picture of the person you're talking about.
Yeah, like the
But you don't show
situation.
the document because nobody can read that anyway, right?
Yeah, like it's nobody wants to read I didn't even want to read all these legal documents, but in order to know exactly what's going on and not hearsay, I had to. So I try and skim through, highlight the important stuff, take notes on it, and then just kind of give a recap on it, like just kind of sum everything up so other people don't have to go read it all.
Got it. That makes sense. Have you requested any of these documents, by the way, or you just get it from when other journalists request it?
If it's not out yet, I'll request it. So I've requested a couple. The hard part for me is I'm in Canada. So I have amazing mods, thank God, who are friends with me now. So I have one that lives in Texas.
You're in Canada?
Yeah, I'm in Canada. So I
Oh,
can't request
wow.
US stuff typically. So I have a mod that I actually got to request some of the Ruby Frankie stuff for me. But if it's not in Canada,
Wait, what's a mod, by the way?
what's that? Sorry?
What's a mod?
Oh, like a moderator on your page, like someone who
Oh, okay. Got it.
yeah,
Got it.
so I
Okay.
have some moderators that have been with me since I started going live. And we have like a group chat for some of them and they're extremely helpful. Like they'll help me find information and documents. And so Liz, one of my mods is like, oh, there she is there. There's my Lizzie.
Hello, Liz.
She's my Texan. So usually I'm like, Liz, can you go to this website and open it? Because like for an example with the Ruby Frankie case, I can't even open up the Utah court's website. So I have to get Liz every time I want to check something. I'm like, Liz, can you go check this? And she's like, yes,
That's
I'm
a good
on it.
idea. So, you have her as a guest on your live and then you expand it? Is that what you do?
She's just one of my mods. Like she just kind of was in my room watching my lives and stuff. And she asked, I think you asked Liz. I don't even know how you became a mod, but she's been one of my first mods. So she helps keep my room safe. Like she blocks people and mutes people if they're gross or ignorant or whatever. And
So they
yeah,
watch
so
your
we just
live.
became friends.
Yeah, they watch your live and make sure you're not getting false information or people who are spamming your live.
Exactly.
You can make a person a moderator,
Yeah.
and they
No,
kind
that
of
that I knew for sure, but I didn't think of that idea. I mean, Erica, you've seen a lot of my lives. You know, I do need a moderator, right? Because I get a lot of hate comments.
I've asked you one time that, hey, if you need a mod, just let me know. I will
There
be
you
more than
go.
happy to mod for you.
Thank you, Erica. Yeah, I'm going to look into that for sure because a lot of these comments I've been reported so many times, so many times. It's
Because you do
crazy.
political stuff. People either love it or hate it, and the
Yeah,
haters will
I
report
do
you.
political, and it gets wild. I mean, Erica can tell you, it gets pretty wild in here.
It
And the
does,
hard part with moderators is you have to trust them because you're literally giving them like access to your live, really. So like I have the best mods. Like I've gone through, a lot of people, unfortunately, that I had to either remove or left because either they'll block everybody if they I love everyone's opinions. If you hate Trump, go ahead and tell me. If you love Trump, go ahead and tell me, but do it in a respectful way. So I had some mods that would like block people if they had the opposite opinion of them. And you don't want that on your page. Like you want people to be able to express
Of
themselves.
course.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
have to find people that know, like only block those spam accounts that are like, check out my profile or
Right. Or saying a lot of inappropriate stuff or racist stuff too. Yeah.
yeah. So it's important to have somebody that you can trust and I've become friends with all my mods. Like once you're live, as you know, for so long, you become friends with people and you know them when they come in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's such a good
By how many mods do you have, by the way? Sounds like you have a lot.
Well, you can have up to 30.
Up to 30. Oh, I didn't know
You can have
that.
up to 30. I have some that just come in once in a while, but like my core group, I probably have like 7 that are always in my lives helping me.
yeah.
That's cool. That's very cool.
And you need it. Like sometimes my lives can get up. Like we've had, 10,000 people watching sometimes, and the comments go so quick. It's not as important to block and mute when you have that many people in your room because you can't read everything anyway. But they're in there to like pin comments for me, like point out things, and it's so helpful.
Of course. And Julie, so you're an American in Canada or you're Canadian?
No, I'm Canadian. Yeah.
Oh, you're
I'm born
Canadian.
in Canada and still living on the East Coast.
Got it. Okay. So then all of these US cases, do you also cover Canadian cases too?
Yeah, anything that grabs my attention. If it's US, Canada, the UK, like yeah, I cover tons of stuff. I basically just if it catches my eye, I'll cover.
Got it. Okay. And what is the process, by the way, when you request any of these documents?
You have to go through the police department. So
So
basically,
how do you do that if you're all the way in Canada? How does that work?
my mod.
Oh, really?
So far,
Please
I've only
elaborate on this.
So far, I've only had to request one, and it was the Ruby Frankie situation because I actually had information revealed to me that wasn't out to the public yet by an extremely credible source, but I still wanted to back it a little bit. So I requested the documents, and look at Liz. So Liz had to do it for me because it was in Utah, and I can't request from Canada. So she had to do it for me because I couldn't even open up the website. Certain places in the States, I can open the website, so I'd be fine. But I've requested documents for myself from Canada before and gotten them. But in the US, I had Liz do it. So you just go through.
Got it.
Anybody could do
So,
it.
but you go to like the website, right?
Yeah, you just go to the police website. I call them usually first and ask, like, do I go through the department or the website? And it's usually always the website. It's just like a form you fill out. Sometimes there's a charge, usually there's not. It just depends how much they have to redact. But yeah, you just fill out a form and it can take up to 30 days, I think is what they try and do it in before 30 days. And you can get whatever you want from any court case, any police report, anything. Sometimes, like one of the ones that I had Liz request for me, I was actually declined it because it was already protected under the court system because it was used in the custody situation. But the write-up that I got back proved to me that those documents do exist. I just wasn't allowed to read them because it was dealing with a custody situation. So
Interesting.
yeah.
So you mainly looked into cases, like court cases, correct?
If I need, like, if I want documentation from something that's not already out there. Journalists are usually really quick in getting that, so I'll just go to their website, find the documents they got, and read it myself. But if they haven't gotten it, like that information that I got early, that wasn't out there, I did have to request that because the document wasn't out yet.
Got it. Okay. And if they release it to someone, do they tell you, by the way, oh, this is already being published, or no?
No, no, it's just you put in your application, they tell you whether or not you can have it, and they send it to you. That's it.
Got it. Cool.
Yeah.
And do they request, or is it required for you to be a journalist, or you don't
No,
have to be?
yeah. If you go
Open to the
to
public.
court, like if I had a DUI and my neighbors wanted to find out, they can call, they can go on the website and ask for my documents and they'll get them.
So
But this is if they know. Go ahead, Erica. Go ahead.
that's what I do for a living.
Oh, do you?
So yes, I won't say for whom, but I'm an investigator.
Oh, nice.
So
Look at that.
yeah,
Look what I just found out. I mean, she's been on my life. I don't think she shared this before.
Yeah,
no,
you
I
got
haven't.
contacts you
I
needed
just
to
won't.
look into.
I just won't say for whom. Yeah, I won't say for whom, but I am an investigator, and it's not a private. But yes, I do that. So yeah, I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Got
then-
it. So Erica, anyone can get this information, correct?
As long as it is public, then yes, you can turn around and request the information. In my cases, sometimes I will I will submit a subpoena. So that's with my work, but things like that, things of this nature that we're speaking of, you can turn around and call, like Miss Julie was saying, you can call the police station and find out if the report is ready, if you're allowed to get it, and where can you access it, whether it be through the department or through the website. And they'll give you the website. If you don't know it, just say, hey, what is your website or what have you? They will give you the name of the website. As she says, you fill out the form and they can sit there and mail it to you.
So, okay, but what is it? You call them and say, hey, I want the documents on this case or this police report, or?
It's a form you fill out and you have to put, like, you know, the date, the people's
But what's the
name,
name of it specifically? Like, is there a name for it?
fill out the information of what you want specifically.
But you do have to know that this case exists, correct?
Well, you can put it in, but if it doesn't exist, they're just going to write you back and say there's no document to go with that.
Yeah. So I guess because you said you said the example of my neighbor, you said, or your neighbor, if they
Yeah.
would look onto your stuff. So like, let's say I say, okay, I call the police station. I want to request like a specific document from my neighbor. Is that how it works?
You could, as an example, I wanted documentation about, this was quite some time ago, I was being harassed, and I wanted all of the emails and phone calls, messages, everything they had with my name on it, because I wanted to know what this person was saying to the police. So I put in a right to information request, and in the box, I wrote, like, you have to be specific of what you want. So I said, I want all documentation, emails, text messages, phone calls, everything that you have with the name Julie Urquhart, Julie teacher, like whatever kind of wording I thought of, and just put commas all by it. And then I got a stack of documentation back of like phone calls and whatever. And like I said, you'll have stuff redacted, like the email of this person was redacted, their address was redacted, like stuff that's personal that I can't have. Anything that they had said about someone else that I'm not able to see was blacked out, but I got the majority of it. So you can ask for anything. You can ask for court documents. You can ask for, if you have like a government official and you want to know what they're saying about you in any context, you can put in a right to information to the government and be like, I want everything that you're saying about me, and they'll give it to you.
Yeah, the same thing.
Go ahead, Erica.
It's the same thing as going like to a website for, you want to find out who's in county jail, you want to find out who's or what have you. You just go onto their website, you can pull in their name and it will give you the information, the charges and so forth. It's something of that nature, kind of the same concept, but kind of got to be specific.
Yeah.
So it's called the Freedom of Information Act, correct? Request? That's what Susie in the comment section is asking.
In Canada, for me, it's a right to information. It's a right to information. It's called an RTIPA.
Yeah, we have something called the FOIA. Yeah.
The FOIA, yeah.
FOIA.
Okay, so then, so then you're able to get this information. Do you know,
I just
Erica?
point out Brian is trying hard. He's been dropping this for a while, saying Trump's
Go
the
ahead,
only
Julie.
one on Epstein Island. Brian, we're not even talking about that anymore. Sorry. It's the people that just diehard Trumpers. Like nobody's saying he did anything wrong. Like we cleared that already. So
Yes, we cleared that up actually almost by the beginning of this episode. We said Trump was named, but in the context that he was named about, nothing showed any wrongdoing or pointing at it in that case.
And,
yeah.
And one of the victims, Brian, just to get your goat here, Virginia Giuffre does say that he was on the island, but just saying. Or was that Clinton? Hold on, let me double check before I drop that.
We're talking about how to obtain information and things
Yeah,
like
we
that.
weren't even talking about that. That cracks me up.
Yeah, it's a lot of speculation about that. Go ahead, Julie. Can you say that again?
She said she had dinner with him.
Virginia says she had dinner with who?
Clinton and Trump. She says she's had dinner with them, but there was no wrongdoing. She didn't say she had intercourse with them or anything like that. So it was probably like a fundraiser or God knows what.
Right. No wrongdoing was described.
Yeah. I just make Brian feel better there because he's been trying hard and he's getting hit with everybody. So. Oh, he just joined.
It's all good, Brian. It's all good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, we clear that up. We went through the list. There's no list, by the way. It's court documents, and all of these names have context to it. You know, just a brief summary here of what we discussed throughout this episode. But now, in terms of the FOIA, right, Erica? Is there an expiration, by the way, as meaning how far back can you go to get information on a particular altercation or trial?
As long as they have the documents saved.
As long as it's public. Yep.
Yeah.
So there's cases where they would not save certain documents?
No, I mean like
I guess my question is, are they required to save each and every single arrest, each and every single report forever?
Yeah.
Everything stays on record. Now everything is digital, so everything will stay on record as long as is available to you or to the public. You can request that information. Again, just like Julie said, sometimes there's a charge, sometimes there isn't. So it just depends, I guess, on, I'm not sure what the prerequisite is for the charge or not, or what the requirements are for them to charge or not. However, it is available as long as it is open to the public.
Got it. So it's not required though, right? It's as long as it's open to the public.
As long as it is open and available to the public, yes.
Like there's things you can't get. Like
Right.
you can't get information on abuse to a minor, let's say, or like I said, personal information and stuff. You could get the document, but you'll get everything. They'll send you the document, but it'll be all blacked out and you can't read it. And then it'll tell you why. Like it'll say, this is a case with a minor, so for their privacy, and they'll quote the legal part of why you can't get it.
For example, you can now go to this case that we were just talking about earlier, to the Savannah Soto case or what have you. You can request the information, the affidavits, everything that came out, and they will send it to you. So you can actually get affidavits from, and it's not hearsay. It's all facts that they're giving to you. You can request those affidavits and they will send them to you.
Yeah. Just as an example, the Ruby Frankie situation that we were talking about earlier, one of the news teams in Utah is hot on this topic and they've requested all the documents. So they actually got the search warrant documents from the police. So they published what they found in the search warrants at Jody Hildebrand's house.
Yeah.
Got it. Makes sense. And again, if someone requests any of these documents, it doesn't become public, right? Unless the person publishes it.
Right. And you're allowed to because it's a public document. That's how we can get a copy of it. They don't publish it somewhere. Like you can't go on like a website and be like, I want the Epstein documents and it pop up. You have to request it from the court system and then they'll give you a copy. So all the documents that are online right now that I'm able to read, that's because other people have requested them and posted it.
Got it. And I'm guessing for you, Julie, it must be an exclusive when you get a document that no one else has at the moment.
Oh yeah, totally. And it's huge with the media. Like the first person to get documents, huge. Like that's the first thing a journalist does is puts those. I think what do you guys call them in the States? FOIAs? Did you say?
FOIA, yeah.
So in Canada, it's called an RTIPA. So that's the first thing a journalist does is they put that document in as soon as anything comes up because they want to be the first person to get that document, publish it, and then they have it.
Of course, it's a huge exclusive.
Because that's
Yeah.
the actual legal, like, here's the actual evidence of what went down, right? Without that, you're making assumptions and guesses or whatever else. So if you have that document, huge.
What about the 911 calls?
Same thing.
How does that work? Same.
Yeah, same way.
Okay. And are those also on record forever, Erica?
They will be forever available as long as they are open to or available to the public. So there's no statute of how long they will last. They will be there forever. Again, remember everything is digital, so they have them on hard drives. They have them what have you. So what on whatever electronic device that they hold them in. So whenever you request it, they have somebody in that department that will turn around, look at your request, whatever you had specifically requested for. They will take that information, print it out, and send you with redactions. Remember, with redactions, with any information that's not available within the document that you're asking for, whatever information is not public, they will redact it off of what you requested. So everything else will be visible for the exception, and they'll black out, like she said, all the information that is not public.
Makes sense. Okay. Wow. Yeah. I mean, I sort of knew how this worked. I just wasn't sure about the expiration part of it. I was like, how does that work?
It's pretty cool how it does work.
Yeah. I do want to welcome Ashley to the panel. She wanted to join. Go ahead.
So can I ask what is the topic about Jeffrey Epstein?
Yes, that is the main topic. We did cover it throughout the whole episode. Right now, we're just sort of went into what Julie covers on her page and the process of how she gets these these documents in regards to such cases. But it's related to the topic.
Yeah, because I know there was what I know about it is there was like a leaked like paperwork about who's actually visited the island. And apparently it's top secret, but it's in the public eye for all to see. So, celebrities can deny it all they want, but we all know that they've all had something to do with the island and that it's P3DO Central. Like
Most of that's BS, babe.
that's what I've been told about. But I'm a massive
unfortunately, there's been a whole bunch of misconceptions around this.
Yeah, what's up with these leaks, Julie? We hear a lot about leak this, leak that. Can you please elaborate on that? What's with these leaks?
I think the biggest problem that I've encountered so far is that everybody thought this was a list that was coming out, and then when it was the documents, everybody was like, wah, wah. That's what everybody wants, Ash, is this list of who was on the island. There hasn't been one of those. There's rumors that there's one that exists, but if there was, I'm sure it would have been out already. But yeah, I think it's a conspiracy theory. I don't think there's any list. There hasn't been a list that we know of, and everybody's just kind of saying that, unfortunately. That would be ideal. If we had a list of everybody who's ever been on that island and why, that would be gold.
I think, to be honest, if there was a list and there was a physical piece of paper or a book that had names of everyone and why they visited, what date they visited, how many times, reason and purpose for visiting, I think it would have been kept very, very secretive because it's a massive, massive case. when this court case was going on, it was the same time as the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp thing, and because there were so many big names and royals mentioned, and all these big names that are in the public eye that people don't want, they don't want their name getting out there that they've been involved with this. They used the Johnny Depp case to cover it all, so nobody knew. It's crazy.
Well, they didn't use the Johnny Depp case to cover it. The Johnny Depp case just happened to be at the same time. Like their court date was planned for months ahead. So it's not like they planned it at the same time. It just happened to be there and everybody kind of paid more attention to that. But I completely agree. Yeah, it kind of got brushed to the side a little bit, but it's been in the public eye for years because of this. And I know people say that there was like a black book and stuff. In my opinion, if Jeffrey Epstein had a list or a document or anything, that thing was deleted, burned, like totally annihilated as soon as he got wind of charges, because there's no way he wanted any more evidence into the hand of the FBI that he did this stuff. So if there was anything, in my opinion, it would have been long gone.
100%.
To be honest, really, with what I do, if it was digital, nothing's ever gone.
Okay, good point. Yeah, if he put it on a computer, it definitely would have still
Nothing is
been
ever
there.
gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if it was computerized, we would have had it. But
Yeah,
if it was
and
like
if
a little
it's
black book, it's gone.
if it's digital, girl, it's there no matter how much you, just like Hillary's emails. Just kidding. That was a bad shot, but yeah.
I think if it was digital and he had it on an iPad or something somewhere, that thing's like at the bottom.
That was good though. If it was Hillary's, oh no, not Hillary's emails. That didn't make it.
But yeah. But
Yeah.
that was just a cheap shot. But yeah.
Yeah.
Julie, I had to throw it in there. I had to. I know. I know you weren't aware from this stuff, but I had to throw it in there somehow.
No.
So I have a question.
Go ahead, Ashley.
But it's a question for opinion. Does anybody here think that he's still alive? Because that island's so protected. I don't even know why they've still got security on that island. Because if he is officially unalived, like we've been told on the news and in articles, then why is the island still being so protected? Why is it you can get unalived if you go onto that island? People in freaking
You're
golf
not
carts.
getting unalived on the island. Absolutely not.
Like you're
getting chased
shot.
off it because it's private property, right? So yeah, he's definitely not alive.
There's drone footage, and it really does look like him from the top. I still believe that he's alive. I'm a massive conspiracist, so it's a very, very interesting topic for me.
Yeah, it is.
Ashley,
It's the same thing with all of the conspiracy stuff. Like Elvis is alive, Tupac's alive, like
Michael Jackson.
Anytime there is conspiracy theories around something, nobody knows 100%. Like with him unaliving himself in prison, like I don't know if he did it or if someone else did it 100% because there's questionable situations there. So I think that's the problem. And I think when that happens, that's how these conspiracy theories kind of are born.
I guess where this comes from, Julie, is the mistrust that people have in the government. Is the mistrust also of whether people have, the people mistrust the media as well,
Absolutely.
And so that's where all of this is coming from. And, you hear, because like you said, even you have received exclusives on your page that even the media maybe hasn't received because you just get it right away. So sometimes people go to you for information instead of the media, which works perfectly fine because you actually show the resource where you got it from, the source where you got it from. But in other cases, we do have other individuals that give out false information.
Yeah.
And then it creates this mixture of, you don't know what's real anymore because you can't really trust the media anymore. And even though, yes, some of the stuff are accurate and legit, but then, like you mentioned, there's the political thing is a complete nightmare, right now. So then, and I cover it here a lot, and there's a lot of mistrust with the media and a lot of manipulation as well. So I can see, where she's coming from. Do I think he's alive? No, I don't think he's alive. As far as the island, it is private property. So I believe it is. Does it still belong to his state? Do you know, Julie?
That's what I don't know. I'd have to look it up. I'm assuming it
Yeah.
does. But I don't know who.
Well, yeah, I don't know either if it belongs to him or somebody bought it out already. But again, it is private property, just like anything else. You can't enter any private property. It doesn't matter where it is. I know Erica wanted to add something to that. Go ahead, Erica.
I think it goes further than Jeffrey Epstein, is why I think it's still protected. I think it goes way beyond Jeffrey Epstein. That is why I think the island is still protected. I think y'all brought up earlier, prior to coming up, was that video of those guys kind of infiltrating on the island. There's some type of video where some guys went on there and they were kind of run off by security guard. I think it goes a lot deeper than just Jeffrey Epstein, to be honest with
100%.
you.
Totally could. Totally could. Who knows?
Do I think he's unalived? Absolutely. But I think it goes a lot deeper than that, because trust me, these people are smart people. They don't just put it in their names and that's it. In the event that things happen to them, it is getting transferred to one person, to another, to another, to another. So now that, what's her name? I can't pronounce her name. Ghislaine, or what's her name?
Yeah.
Ghislaine.
Yeah, her.
Ghislaine. I call her Ghislaine. I don't know.
I call her Ghislaine. I'm just
Julie calls her something else too. What do you call her, Julie?
Ghislaine, and then, but it's Ghislaine apparently.
Gas Lane. I'll
Okay.
call it Gas Lane. You know, what have
Call
you.
her Big G.
The big yeah, I think, to be honest with you, because look how bad her family was fighting for her as well. Do I think her family possibly has access to that? Absolutely. So again, I think that stuff can carry on from, they have things in place. You don't get where you're at without being brilliant with your stuff, or having advisors to guide you in the event that something happens. In the event that this happens, somebody still has access to that island. Hence the reason I believe it is still being protected, so it goes beyond Jeffrey Epstein, in my opinion. I could be wrong.
Oh, I can add to this. So the people, the higher power people in this, such as was Jeffrey, now Ghislaine, Prince Andrew, you've got to notice that all the people that have been named already in this case, these are all people that have got power and money. So they have the ability to manipulate people with hundreds of thousands of dollars. I personally think there's still something going on, because why would it be protected so much the way it is? If nothing's going on, you wouldn't need that much protection on the island. Golf carts, people walking around with guns, CCTV 24/7. Like, people get
It
it.
is a private island though, Ash. Like, you got to think about
Yeah,
the fact
that's
that if
what I
it,
was getting to.
yeah, like if it wasn't protected, it would be vandalized. People would be trying to steal pieces of it. Like, it has to, whoever owns it has to be protected.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, in all fairness, right? After this case, even as we saw, some YouTubers went there to get footage. So if it wasn't protected, they'll probably have a party there.
Oh, yeah.
They'll set up camp, so that also makes sense.
Yeah, go look at any random mall. There's literally people that walk the mall all night protecting it. Like, it's if it's private property that could have a chance of vandals or anything or break it, it's going to be protected. So
Does
Imagine
anyone
how
have
much
any ideas of, do you know the temple that literally nobody has a clue about? What the hell are they hiding in that? Because that's what I'd like to know.
DNA. Can you imagine how much DNA is in that, on that
like,
island?
it's
feel
like
like-
hotel bed sheets.
God,
I
can you
feel like
imagine
that.
how much DNA is on that island?
That building, my thoughts on that, all the evidence from all the girls, all the little boys that they've hurt in the past, all the logs, everything will be protected by that one building. That's why there's no doors on it. That's
That
why
island was
you
searched.
cannot find the entrance.
That island was searched though.
I feel like it was an underground entrance. Do you know what only he'd know about?
Okay, well that's a whole other thing then. Yeah.
But
So Ashley, are you saying that even though the island was searched, there is a possibility that there is like secret underground sort of rooms that no one looked into? Is that what you mean?
100%. I mean, Jeffrey Epstein was a very, very clever man. Him and Ghislaine, you know, them two were very, very partners and they were very clever.
I kind of feel like the FBI is extremely clever as well and knows how to search areas. Like I feel like if there's some underground bunker, they're gonna definitely be able to find that.
Don't underestimate FBI. Don't, because you know what? Just because they didn't come out public with it does not mean they don't know
We're not
Or that they don't have it, right?
or that
didn't
they
go to
don't have
trial.
information. Just
Yeah.
because they don't make it public doesn't mean they don't know.
FBI had
I,
it on the
I like
back
this
of
because I get where Ashley is coming from, and she did say that she was a conspiracy theorist, and
Exactly.
Julie's more on the facts of the documentation that she's able to receive and study. And Eric, I sort of have like a balance to us. I really like this panel here. But Julie, what's your take on this? That a lot of Americans don't trust the media anymore.
I don't blame them. I don't trust the media. I literally, when I research a case, and I'm not exaggerating, I go through at least probably 20 articles on the same thing because you have to, like, I have to look at CNN and then I have to look at Fox because they're complete polar opposites. Then I go to the Associated Press. Then I go to like my local news. Like, you have to look literally everywhere because unfortunately nowadays the media puts their own opinions and stuff, like, and it's usually a political agenda. Like if they're left or right, you feel that in their reporting, and it shouldn't be there, and unfortunately it is. So
Yeah.
have to
And
be-
it's no longer, yeah, like you said, it's they bring up the news but mix their opinions with it. And then it's like,
Well, because all of them are opinionated journalists.
It's all
Absolutely.
manipulation.
They're not journalists. They are opinion. Just kind of like Rachel Maddow, Tucker Carlson.
Yes,
They're
yes.
all opinionated journalists. They're not factual journalists, or I don't know what the appropriate word would be, but
Yeah.
they
I said, well, I don't know about factual because there's some facts, and and there's a lot of facts to some of the things that it's said, but it's more about unbiased. They're not unbiased journalists. I think that's
They
a
put
better way
their
to put it.
opinion
but
on
they
the
put
facts.
their opinion in there.
Exactly right. So they're biased.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So the best example ever is always Trump. Because if you watch CNN, if Trump goes on, let's say Trump misquotes something on the news or in a press conference, when you go on CNN, they're like, this idiot, look at this. Oh my God, he can't be president. Blah. And then if you go on Fox, it's the exact opposite. And they're like, oh my God, look what the media said about Trump. And it was just an accident. Like it's totally bipolar, completely different opinions, and it should not be that at all. It should be, here's what Trump said at his press conference and leave it with it. Like that's yeah.
Like,
But you see, what I can tell you is because I cover a lot of this political news and stuff. I mean, Erica knows, and I'm very biased, by the way, because I do state my opinion. But I am not a journalist. I don't classify myself as a journalist. I'm more like a commentator of what's happening. I'm more representing of what the people are expressing around me, that I see with family members within my Latino community. And the things that we're seeing is not reflecting what the media is telling us, and I know it's a little bit off topic, but just in the sense of the media, the example of the media, right? Like when they interview or show the migrant crisis in America, or like you said, they mentioned something about Trump. They don't keep it balanced. Most of the mainstream media don't keep it balanced. And so for us, it's upsetting because we're like, what, you don't manipulate us. Just give us what you see. Don't throw your opinion in there. So then you got guys like me that have to jump on here and say, no, this is not right. We feel this way. And now but we fall into the circle again, right? And now you have another commentator / person reporting that's also biased, but it's sort of because we're replying to the other side. And so we're in this loop now. We're in this loop. And then like you said, you can't be unbiased anymore. It's like, it's impossible,
I know.
and it's sad, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
like the media and the news, it's all one big massive game of manipulation. How
Yes.
can we get the public to fall for this? How can we make them believe this, that, and the other? Like, for example, Gypsy Rose coming out of prison. so many people have put their 50 pence in or 50 cents because I'm not from the US, so the way I speak's a lot different.
Where are you from, by the way, Ashley? What
I'm
country are
from
you joining from?
I'm from Manchester in the United Kingdom.
You have the
Oh,
best.
wow. This is
Oh,
so
thank you.
cool. We have
So
Canada here. Now we have the United Kingdom.
So
And the
yeah, the way I
US.
speak's very, very different. I've got much
And
more
of
of a
course, the US,
dialect.
yes.
But yeah, for example, the news have been manipulating the whole Gypsy Rose situation, which is absolutely disgusting. You know, the facts are there. She was a victim of the Munchausen syndrome by proxy. You know, and people are calling a cold-blooded murder. It's like nobody was there apart from her and her mother. Nobody needs to start spitting opinions in it because it's just going to twist the whole entire situation. Like it's wrong. The media needs to be spitting facts, not opinions.
So what, just echoing this, echoing what Ashley's saying, Julie, what's the deal with this gypsy stuff? I haven't really looked into it. Is the media for it, against it? What's the coverage you've seen from that case?
It's kind of funny because when she first got out, she was all over the media. And when I did my posting, it was all positive. Everyone was like, yes, queen, go gypsy. Everything was great. Now, when I post my content, it is almost completely opposite. Everybody is like,
Why? What happened?
personally, I feel like people are getting a bad taste in their mouths because of how public she has been, how much. But this girl has 5 minutes of fame, in my opinion. She needs to utilize this now to get her story out and to, get her following up she needs to do it all right now because soon, like I already see it kind of sliding off the attention of her. So I think she needed to do it like this because this is what she wants. She wants to be an advocate. She wants to have her story out there, but people are really getting a bad taste in their mouth and they are like dropping nasty stuff in my comments now, like saying she's, she should have been in longer and, we're glorifying a murderer where before it was all like, yes, gypsy. Like it's
Because apparently she was a victim, right? I'm not sure about the case is what I'm asking.
Yes.
absolutely
She is a victim.
is so hard because she
Okay.
absolutely was a victim. Her mother did horrendous things for her. She thought this was her only way out. But the problem people have is they think that she manipulated the boyfriend to do the killing. And now she should be in jail the same length of time as he has. But
Oh,
they,
because she physically didn't commit the crime.
No,
yeah.
she
Okay.
manipulated him.
Yeah, so she's charged with second degree murder. He's charged with first degree murder. There's different sentences for both of those, and they took into consideration her Munchausen by proxy history, but she still got 10 years in jail and she served 80%. She served 8 years in jail. People just for some reason think it should have been more. So
Got it. Jay in the comment section is saying that she's overexposed. And then
100%.
Kay in the comment section is saying, Julie, I think people's opinion changed because Nick G spoke out today or yesterday. Who's Nick G?
Nicholas Godejohn.
Godejohn, sorry, I always say it wrong. I say Godejohn, it's Godejohn, is her ex-boyfriend who killed her mother. So the turning all started before his email though. So he sent an email to the New York Post yesterday, a reply to them basically saying just a little blurb. He didn't say too much, but everybody has been turning for the last, at least I want to say the last week. It's been changing pretty quickly. It's bad.
Julie,
Like I can add on to this what you're saying. So there was a video that it was like an interview he did via prison, and
That
it was
was
all,
for Oxygen. Yeah, he did a documentary in 2019.
and he's basically trying to turn it all into Gypsy, which I don't think's fair. You know, they both played a part in it. You know,
No, Gypsy admits that actually in his on at his trial, she testified and said that she convinced him to do this.
I think so with the way because Nick's now doing life. I think he thinks it's a bit unfair that she's now walking free because let's be honest, she did manipulate him because a mother taught her how to manipulate and to lie and to cheat her way in life.
Yeah,
And
and I
she
do see it both ways. I do think that she manipulated him a little bit into the murder, but I also think he manipulated or maybe not manipulated, controlled her.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was a really unhealthy relationship.
Like I've read into the case.
If I
And
Okay, I know Erica wanted to say something. Go ahead, Erica.
oh, sorry about
sorry,
that.
I don't mean to interject.
No,
Ashley,
that's
my
okay.
apologies. But yeah, I think honestly, in my opinion, Vega, I was gonna first mention before I forget, there's actually I think it's on Netflix or Apple TV. There's actually a whole show about this.
Prison
It's a
Confessions.
series regarding this entire case, and I saw it about 2 years ago.
About Gypsy
Yes,
on Netflix?
yeah, either Netflix on one of the channels, either Apple TV or Apple Plus or
The
Netflix.
there's the Act, which is a dramatized version of the story, which is on Hulu. And then there's Mommy Dead and Dearest, which is interviews and conversations, and that one's on, I believe, Prime.
No, I think I saw the actual. It was just kind of like a mini series.
Yeah, that's the Act.
Okay, the Act. Okay, so my whole thing and my perspective on that is that Gypsy was the one going through all this. She is the one who experienced all the salacious acts by her mother. She, in my opinion, was the master manipulator in everything that happened because the boyfriend didn't experience any of this stuff. She was the one who had a lot of anger or what's the correct word I'm trying to find?
Trauma.
Drama.
I suppose, yeah, the trauma that she turned around, and I think she manipulated the boyfriend because he had nothing to do with her life.
No, but he had a really bad life on his own. Like, he's got a ton of issues. He had one of his arrests was actually because he was pleasuring himself for like 6 hours or something at a McDonald's one time.
That
He
had nothing to do with her life and what she went through.
No,
She
no,
had the
I'm telling
anger.
you about his history because he also had talked about wanting to kill someone before. Like, he had a lot in his past.
Okay.
And if you look through their communications from the court documents, they were together for 2 years. And it was a sick relationship. Like, it was like a bondage thing. Like, she had to call him master. She was his slave. Like, he had all these different personas. Like, one of them was this like 500-year-old vampire who was his evil side. And the stuff that he would say when he was that vampire was like horrible. Like, there's a lot more to this, I think, than people realize. And I think it was really a two-way street.
I'm gonna take
She
your word for it.
definitely
I'll
she
take your word
definitely
for it
convinced
because
him to do that, but he wanted to kill someone, and it was just kind of a good opportunity, unfortunately, I think.
which I will agree with that, but I think even if he had those thoughts and those sentiments to want to do that, she's the one I believe who convinced him to do that because of her issues.
Yeah, and she admits that. She admitted that in court. She said that she was the one that gave him this idea and got him to help her.
Yeah, because didn't she ask? Because when I was watching the Act, didn't she ask for his quote unquote alter ego Victor, this 500-year-old vampire, to do these horrible acts on her mother? I believe that's what I've read.
I
But
that
he wanted to take it a step further and asked if he could do
Raping.
graping on her mother before he unalived her.
After.
After. Oh, yeah.
After.
And Gypsy said no, so
Ew.
she said you can do it to me instead. That's what I've read in the news report, and it's so sick. Apparently, he had autism or something as well, which that's gonna make him think unstable already because he had a lot of issues and he needed serious help. And Gypsy's master manipulated him in saying, "Oh yeah, use your alter ego, you can do it."
I agree. I
It
agree
was
with you, Ashley. Yeah.
It was a little bit different than that, but similar, Ash. Like, she asked him to do this, and he said he couldn't do it, but that Victor could. So he
Yeah.
said, I'll do it. I'll do it, but I have to do it as Victor, and I have to grape your mother after. And Gypsy said, that's the only thing she said no to. She said, you can't do that, but you can do it to me. The big problem I have right now is that she's accusing him of graping her after, and he's saying it was mutual. It was 100% mutual because there's text exchange where she's telling him he can do that. So she
Yeah,
can't now come out and be like, oh, he forced me to do this after when you told him he could.
yeah, because
I'm learning a lot on this as far as the aftermath, which I'm great that you're letting me know, Julie, because there are, like what you're saying, I had no idea. So thank you for letting me know that, because I did not know that.
yeah,
Yeah,
because
oh, it's nuts.
What state did this occur, Julie?
What did you say?
Which state in the country?
Indiana.
Missouri.
Oh, sorry. No, they were in Missouri.
Missouri. Okay. And do you know if there's a documentary that covers the story accurately that you recommend?
So the act is the one that you shouldn't follow. It's the one that it's the only one Gypsy Rose has had a problem with. She said she doesn't agree with some of the acting in it, but it's also the one that is like, it's literally a movie. It's a series and actors portray them. Mummy Dead and Dearest, I think, was excellent. It was more of like a story about what it is, and it had interviews with like Dee Dee's family. It's crazy if you haven't watched it. But the one that just came out is The Prison Confessions of Gypsy Rose Blanchard. And this is Gypsy Rose's documentary. So this is actually her being interviewed while in prison and when she got out. And she apparently talks all about her life and what happened. So I haven't watched it yet, but from what I hear, it's a lot of what was in Mommy Dead and Dearest. And it's kind of her side that we already kind of know about. There's also
So the one that you strongly recommend is Mommy Dead and Dearest?
because of the interviews in it. I think the
And
interviews
that's on
are really
Hulu?
telling. Pardon?
Is that on Hulu?
Mummy Dead and Dearest is either on Crave or Prime. I can't
It's
remember
on
which one I
YouTube,
watched it
Mummy
on.
Dead
I
and
think it's
Dearest.
I see here YouTube, Amazon, and Google Play.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I have.
And I think HBO Max too.
have
Sweet
HBO
and Spicy in the comment section just said.
From what I've heard, when it comes to the act,
Not to change the subject, but how about that other one with the little
Natalia Grace.
Yes!
Oh my God, I'm so invested in that. It's crazy.
What's that all about?
She has dwarfism and she was an orphan that was adopted.
Oh, I was going to ask you about that. That was going to be my next question.
Oh my
What's up
God,
with
Jake.
that? Wasn't like a movie based on that story? What's it called? The Omen or something like that?
Orphan.
The Orphan.
That
The
was
Orphan.
long before.
I know that it was like not the accurate story, but it was based on that idea.
Well,
No?
no, they think that Natalia Grace's life is based on that movie.
Yeah, I think that's
Right.
yeah.
And Natalia is the person that the little person, correct?
Yes. And so Orphan was a movie that came out, and people think that Natalia Grace's parents, adoptive parents, watched that movie and then tried to do the same thing to her.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So the movie came out first.
Yes.
The story came out later. Okay, thank you for clarifying that. I didn't know that.
Vega,
I thought it was the other way around.
I hate to do this because this has been absolutely amazing. I'd love to do this again with you, but at 7, I usually go on my own page. So I've told everybody I was coming on, so I have to run. But if you want,
Yeah.
we can do this again.
Yeah, let's wrap this up. I wouldn't mind, Julie, I love to talk about crime stories, and who better than you, because you do all the research on this and you have all the knowledge in some of these cases. Maybe we could do like a mini series, and maybe not every Saturday, but some Saturdays we can sit down and I can ask you some questions about some of these cases, if that's okay with you.
Get Erica up. She's great.
We'll bring Erica too. So will you be open to that?
Yeah, I'd love to. Message me anytime.
Awesome. So I'll be in touch with Julie then, and we'll do some of these cases here on the weekends. And then the weekdays I cover the politics and all the stuff that Julie wants to stay away from.
And I'm there for
Thank you so
But
much.
Erica will be here with me on the weekdays. I know that. Thank you, Julie, so much for joining. Thank you, Erica. Thank you, everyone, for watching this very special episode. We touched base on the Epstein's list. There is no list, by the way. There is no list. It's just court documents, and every name has a context to it, so don't fall for it. Thank you, Julie, for clarifying that. I'll see you guys on Monday, okay? I do have a special guest on Monday. I'll see you then, 5:15 p.m. Pacific, 8:15 p.m. Eastern. Thank you, Erica. I'll be in touch, by the way.
Thank you, Vega. No problem. Anytime.
Have a good one.